in terms of conflict of interest. First, I'm going to institute what I call pressure for progress. And in this quest, there will be a systemic review of all public agencies.
What was the word you...
I said I have termed it pressure for progress.
Pressure for progress.
Yes.
Very well. I thought it was a Latin word you...
No.
spoke. I didn't get it out.
I'm going to institute systemic reviews of public sector institutions and the development of integrity plans. And here, this is what I intend to do. Why can't we have our own corruption perceptions index, for instance? Why can't I rank public sector agencies against each other, and at the end of the year, publicize the results as to which institution is performing well and which institution is not performing well? In that quest, if you are head of an institution and persistently your institution is drawing the short straw in terms of the perception of corruption from the point of view of experts, from the point of view of business people, you will set up. I'm not naive to assume that I'm coming to stop corruption. There is no way I can stop corruption. God himself will not even acclaim to that. But I am going to make corruption very costly, very, very costly to engage in terms of conflict of interest. First, I'm going to institute what I call pressure for progress. And in this quest, there will be a systemic review of all public agencies.
What was the word you...
I said I have termed it pressure for progress.
Pressure for progress.
Yes.
Very well. I thought it was a Latin word you...
No.
spoke. I didn't get it out.
I'm going to institute systemic reviews of public sector institutions and the development of integrity plans. And here, this is what I intend to do. Why can't we have our own corruption perceptions index, for instance? Why can't I rank public sector agencies against each other, and at the end of the year, publicize the results as to which institution is performing well and which institution is not performing well? In that quest, if you are head of an institution and persistently your institution is drawing the short straw in terms of the perception of corruption from the point of view of experts, from the point of view of business people, you will set up. I'm not naive to assume that I'm coming to stop corruption. There is no way I can stop corruption. God himself will not even acclaim to that. But I am going to make corruption very costly, very, very costly to engage in terms of conflict of interest. First, I'm going to institute what I call pressure for progress. And in this quest, there will be a systemic review of all public agencies.
What was the word you...
I said I have termed it pressure for progress.
Pressure for progress.
Yes.
Very well.
I'm not naive to assume that I'm coming to stop corruption. There is no way I can stop corruption. God himself will not even acclaim to that. But I am going to make corruption very costly.
A portion of the World Bank's $570 million economic pump for Ghana was to enable Accra become the cleanest city in Africa. Specifically, $200 million was to finance the Greater Accra Integrated Development Initiative. This initiative is a transformative urban project tailored to bolster the city to become safer, more resilient, and cleaner. What is the status of this project?
Mr. Chairman, the component for my ministry is $43 million, and I think I spoke about it earlier. That is to take care of the Odo Basin, to clean it up, and to cap the heaps of waste that we see around the basin. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You claim that your ministry had $43 million out of the $200 million. How was that $43 million applied?
Mr. Chairman, I have given the components out is to cap about 5 heaps around Tantan and then the Odo Basin. And it's also to clean up the Odo Basin to make the channels open for water to flow in. Yes. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Why is it that the richest continent on earth, the go-to place for the world, is painted as the poorest? And I am not going to mince my words. The truth of the matter is the world needs Africa. Africa does not need the world. We have everything we need on earth. We could paralyze the world economies. Take a simple thing. Like we decide DRC can no longer export its coltan. That alone can paralyze the world. So rather than us Africans concentrating on the issues that matter, concentrating on issues that we need to take home, like telling France that 500 billion you're taking out of Africa every year, no more. France needs to be the third world developing country, not Africa.
Chinua Achebe, that great writer from Nigeria who wrote as his magnum opus, his greatest book was Things Fall Apart, but people have not read his Anthills of the Savannah, in which Chinua says he does not know from what inexhaustible wells of patience the poor man in Africa draws. He is constantly abused by politicians and he or she does not react. He goes to a public rally and he is sitting under the hot sun, he or she is sitting under the hot sun, but the so-called leaders are sitting in air-conditioned places watching from afar, and then they harass them on the roads with their never-ending motorcades. And after they have finished, then they have a choice of the best food in the world, and we do not get angry. Africans must get angry.
I'm telling them today, this is an opportunity for me to speak. They should demonstrate and will follow them. What is it? Are they waiting for 2024? They should go anywhere. They should go to wherever they wanted to go.
It's not that to me. You are getting shika if you're ready. That's why I'm house with you. You buy a few. One be a get shika never feel like if you're ready. A lady, Afa, I don't know where.
Chanakapa Ibragbo. Didn't fail a monkey. What the police hospital? Amengaje. So a clinic was back then. pale no the police hospital ba kenya tashi na akumo general hospital ko boni rich hospital amale fio akumole fio mane rich hospital ga ba na mi fe
you were papa the best sympathy she kept you like a sympathy ake the way you go people in the shia na ya di itamo go na ya nyeme itamo go I don't think that they fear ba fe
yende body go aye dey papa yi a wo punish you see na atem didi na obedi die atro say am the go say thank you Mr. President but say Mabula General Hospital there you see aha aye park la General Park and then la General Hospital.
I also want to assure all Ghanaians that no individual or institutional investor, including pension funds, in government treasury bills or instruments, will lose their money as a result of our ongoing IMF negotiations. There will be no haircuts. So I urge all of you to ignore the false rumors. Just as in the banking sector cleanup, government ensured that the 4.6 million depositors affected by the exercise did not lose their deposits. I also want to assure all Ghanaians that no individual or institutional investor, including pension funds, in government treasury bills or instruments, will lose their money as a result of our ongoing IMF negotiations. There will be no haircuts. So I urge all of you to ignore the false rumors. Just as in the banking sector cleanup, government ensured that the 4.6 million depositors affected by the exercise did not lose their deposits. I also want to assure all Ghanaians that no individual or institutional investor, including pension funds, in government treasury bills or instruments, will lose their money as a result of our ongoing IMF negotiations. There will be no haircuts. So I urge all of you to ignore the false rumors. Just as in the banking sector cleanup, government ensured that the 4.6 million depositors affected by the exercise did not lose their deposits.
Yes, also men country president. So my kwine no say president anya ma wo mo a. Na se be yo mo ya pa na 2024 on be to abanetia NPP.
No problem, no problem.
You do it.
I'm saying people make those kind of threats. Me, they don't frighten me.
Okay.
It's somebody votes for you, somebody supports you. It's because they want you to do things for them. So I understand that. There's no need for people to go to man, say. I don't want to answer. But of course, mayor. About to decide this over to a man this year. Awesome. I don't know myself. Will be a song and in Timsu, baby. And they wow. The important thing is that we have a responsibility. I understand the responsibility, and we will deal with it.
Fantastic.
Right.
Now, the last time I was back,
get the industrial piece. So you have ministers in the government have been performing like this. And if they are performing like this, what is the reason why a president is just going to take his green ink and say, "We'll make sure with him."
No, sir. Any day you can show me you there. There's from a Greek minister Netuechi to trade and industry, to finance, to Bafua,
to Amwakwata. There are others.
There's a ratio for the Unyabu. Yes, say your Majumana so within the day. Once the same names, the same which now.
Send so many messages because there are several people who have left my government, which I removed from the government. There are people. Near Biano war my first term or no second term or that's all. But there are some of them, some of the longest serving ones, when they do so many.
Good.
And that is the reason why. And I think there's good explanation. You yes, be any measure. It's not me, the Juma all year, the somewhere Juma all year. And then I'm because men are ultimately the responsibility. The Juma shall sound to me, yeah. Then once it ends on some person. And I am out of no talk. Let me move, me baby, your dim bonnet. Inch me by the side. It's, you know, we're together as a team.
Good.
Those who can pull up their laces and contribute to the effort of the team, those people, I have confidence in them. And it's a confidence will be more. So be to baby, so we cry, watch out, what you say? What is it? So what you say?
There's what you know, boy, you're okay.
Of course, yeah. I have to be okay. Now, say, or to me, BB, no, it's a different problem. Now, Ghana, before cancer, yeah, you to me, some AC. Reshuffle. What is it? Is it that
there's a reshuffle?
Yeah, they're not performing. There's the output is not good enough, or what? What is it that, or is it just some people are looking to replace them, or what? I don't understand.
But that's it. Nana Minim said, Finance Minister. What is so special about him?
Oh, I came to office in 2017.
Good.
Under an IMF program, which Emmanuel Biden said, stringent program. This same man was able to manage the affairs of our economy in such a way, sir. The first 4 years of my first term, we were one of the fastest growing economies in the world, an average growth rate of 7% a year from the beginnings of an IMF program, an economy that allowed us to initiate the program Planting for Food and Jobs.
Good.
A program which was happened in April of 2017. I believe so. I think it's April.
Which were really bad times where we all slept at the petrol station. So that's indication that, you know, you really need to get up and talk about it, because we cannot, as a nation that deserves so much more, come to this level.
I'm working like a bull and I'm paying my taxes. The government got to work like a bull as well and make sure that my road is fixed, that I have electricity, that I have water. That is their job. It is not for me to tell the president how to fix the economy. If he didn't know how to fix the economy, why did he run for office?
And which were really bad times where we all slept at the petrol station. So that's indication that, you know, you really need to get up and talk about it, because we cannot, as a nation that deserves so much more, come to this level.
I'm working like a bull and I'm paying my taxes. The government got to work like a bull as well and make sure that my road is fixed, that I have electricity, that I have water. That is their job. It is not for me to tell the president how to fix the economy. If he didn't know how to fix the economy, why did he run for office?
In Kufuor's time, one of the people who advised and helped him develop a strong CD was my running mate, Muhammadu Bawumia. Then he was deputy governor of the Bank of Ghana. It's one of the reasons I brought him to come and join me, that we will work on the CD and create again a strong CD that will be able to allow us to develop our economy. And
what is the difference between the ordinary thief and a political thief? Number one, the ordinary thief steals your money, your bag, your watch, and your jewelry, isn't it? But the political thief steals your future, your career, your education, your health, and your business. Number two, the hilarious part is that the ordinary thief will choose whom to rob. But you are the one who choose the political thief to rob you. Because we choose them. We vote them. We blindly say we are not blind. Who is deceiving who? The ridiculous part of the whole issue is that we will fight to defend and protect our belongings from the ordinary thief. Is it not? But we fight each other to defend and protect the political thief. Is that not what we do? Thugs will be fighting themselves
to protect those that are stealing our career, stealing our job, stealing our health, stealing our success. What a shame.
If you reach a certain stage in life and there is nobody who can look you in the eye and tell you the truth, you are doomed. And that is where our country has gotten to. We need to rescue this country. Wallahi. And I feel very terrible as a Ghanaian at this time. This country is in serious trouble, ladies and gentlemen. We are in serious trouble. We need to rescue this country, ladies and gentlemen. The presidency has been so depraved, so muddied, so dirtied, that I tell you in all sincerity as a Ghanaian, that I feel terribly sad today as a Ghanaian. We need to rescue this country. Wallahi. Inshallah.
Please don't cry.
We shall rescue our country.
Government is broke, government is broke. But people are spending billions to go inside the government that is broke. Have you ever seen a minister who resigned because government is broke before? Government has no money. Have you ever seen a governor who said, ladies and gentlemen, when I was elected, I thought the government had money. Now I discover government has no money, I resign. Have you ever seen it? Government has no money, but they are bringing money out at election time. Where is that money coming from? So they are lying. What is happening is that there are two types of wicked people in government. Type 1, they eat current money. Any money they find in government, they will eat it. They are wicked about that one. There is type 2. Type 2, they eat current money and future money. They will say, my term will end next year. When I leave, how will I eat money? Let me borrow money now and borrow money of the future and eat it now.
Right, hello, good morning and welcome to the show. This is Good Morning Ghana live on Metro TV. It's a Thursday, the 17th day of August 2023. By His grace, we're live and we're here. We're yet another edition of the show. Our gratitude will go to the Most High God for the rare privilege of being alive and, of course, the opportunity of having another conversation around the top stories making the rounds here in our dear Republic. I'll let you into our panel for the morning's conversation shortly. Let's take a look at the front pages of our newspapers. Daily Graphic. Ahead of ECOWAS Defense Chiefs meeting, democracy must reign in Niger, security experts. Government vindicated in Agyapa deal, MPP. Tourism fiesta, December in Ghana to spread outside Accra. Youth-focused agriculture program launched. NACA QR code, mechanism to check approved textbooks rolls out in September. Ghanaian Times. UN corruption report on Ghana. 5 billion cedis bribes paid in 2021. Please stop chat with token collections. Niger political crisis. ECOWAS security chiefs meet in Accra today. Be relentless in advocacy for prudent management and use of petroleum revenue. Deputy Minister to PIAC. Ghana needs $522.3 billion to implement SDGs by 2030. Daily Guide. NDC incites youth against 10% betting tax. NIA sacks 10 officers over extortion. Timber Omia launches tech campaign. Rethink Agric, national best farmer. Nigerian jailed 15 years for human trafficking. Murder of Ahmed Swale. Your criminal and reckless conduct led to the murder of Ahmed Swale, family to Kennedy Agyapa. ECOWAS court dismisses suit against Agyapa deal. Queens Girls SHS to celebrate 10th anniversary. Team Baumia launches star 202 hash to support campaign. Be strict on special voting guidelines. Jampo urges NPP. The Insight. Bokemi GHS suffering. Students study at mercy of snakes, scorpions and lizards. Kitchen scandal. Ablakwa claims governors back down from paying 187 million Ghana cedis judgment debt. NPP presidential race. Easy to use complex serial numbers to hide delegates' identity. Ensures secret voting in special delegates elections. Niger and the collapse of France's empire. The Daily Statesman. Government vindicated over Agyapa deal. NPP hails ECOWAS court's no wrongdoing verdict. Team Baumia unveils digital campaign platforms. AG to prosecute 200 fraudsters under rent scheme. NDC incites youth to protest against 10% betting tax. Business Finder. Ghana eyes $1.5 trillion MIC market. So Okay, some could say mice market. It's not mice as in Ukra or something. That's not it. These are meetings, incentive, conferences, and exhibitions market. That's the MIC. Meetings, incentives, conferences, and exhibition market. So it has nothing to do with rodents. Plot to become hub of meetings, incentives, conferences, and exhibitions. Okay. EcoBank hosts junior savers. Invest in diversity, equity. HR practitioners told. And that's about it. For the front pages, we'll be back shortly.
Enjoy the fruits of your labor, they say, but as humans, aging and physical infirmity stands our way of enjoying our mansions and homes. It often becomes challenging, if not impossible, to use our stairways day in, day out. With portable American pneumatic vacuum elevators, PVs, you are assured of unlimited enjoyment of your mansions and homes. It's a self-supported elevator for vertical movement of humans and goods at homes and offices. The original comes in 3 custom-made models with wheelchair accessibility. Call it luxury, but it's a necessary imperative for vertical mobility. Do not let aging or infirmity limit you. Get one for your easy vertical mobility at home. It's affordable and can be installed in just 3 days without modification to your existing building. It's however easier to incorporate it at the construction stage. We also have traditional Fuji elevators and escalators for your high-rise buildings and malls. Visit Lifts and Elevators Company Limited at Sakumono for your elevators nationwide. For free consultation to call or WhatsApp us on 0200-535-515. Lifts and Elevators, the elevator people.
Betway is your gateway to a theme park full of gaming excitement. A whirlpool of wonder where your favorite games come to life. Where you can take to the skies with max payouts that reach into the millions. All in the palm of your hand. Visit betway.com.gh. Terms and conditions apply. Betway is regulated by the Gaming Commission of Ghana. No under 18. Bet responsibly. Betway. Bet your way.
Do you need a place with a stunning view and serene environment just beneath the Green Mountains with a commercial center and recreational area with an amazing park? Then look no further.
Hello, sir.
Hi.
Welcome to Rehoboth Havens, the most affordable yet luxurious gated community located in Damfa, Accra. We have 2 and 3 bedroom houses with spacious park. Let me show you. All of our rooms come with beautiful porcelain tiles, durable fitted kitchen cabinets,
constant water supply,
electricity and water 24/7.
I'm buying this house. Stop processing my papers. Eh? Move it, move it. If you're living in Ghana and want an affordable and luxurious house to buy, look no further than Rehoboth Social Housing Limited. Oh, and to those from the diaspora, aren't you tired of living in places that doesn't belong to you? You can also own your house and be your own landlord from Rehoboth Social Housing Limited. I have my own, Bossu Landlord.
Contact us now. Rehoboth Social Housing. Your housing dream becomes reality.
For over 20 years of serving the world with herbal and alternative medicine, we've been successful in treating complicated medical conditions with a perfect combination of herbal and alternative methods of treatments like homeopathy, naturopathy, reflexology, and many more. We deliver excellent and effective service to people from all walks of life through scientific and traditional means. We have a well-equipped laboratory with advanced diagnostic and treatment devices to help detect your illness so we know the right medication to be given. At Amen Scientific Herbal and Alternative Medical Hospital, we are proud manufacturers of our own herbal medication. Our zeal and passion to save lives with our patients at heart and outstanding achievements since 1996 has won us several awards. That is why we say, go Herbal, go Amen. We are located everywhere in all the regions. Amen Scientific, Herbal, and Alternative Medical Hospital. Allahu Shafi, God is the He.
Yamawakwaba, the bad Nadum Auto Fix and Accessories. Ahadie, a bano KSC near Wakadia. Ubenya Biwaha. Kabian how any new here. Yansu ye were winning the four or best son ye amount. Nadum Auto Fix and Accessories ye jume did ye. 24/7 ye CCU engine. U brake, battery, yes, a sound tie. Say bano car wash dia. Ye wo abe fun fidelity say steamer ye the whole car engine abra nsuo core engine nim ye san ye detailing metre say ye betwitwu car no mu ba bia ma ye wi a ye san polish car na ma kama enye we no munku ye san to car batteries tires rims any de keke kan Manadum Auto Fix and Accessories ema o car ensi ne dedem na enwu adwuma ma o hwehwe ye chira kwan wo dansoma na sorry dan ho a ene KFC bon hwani mu e won kran se wo information anansem bi se bia 024-651-9369. Nadum Auto Fix and Accessories.
To help meet your business and private printing needs successfully, we have just the right products and services. At Appointed Time Printing Limited, we specialize in digital printing, offset printing, packaging and security printing. Our innovative designs and complete professional touch on our print products such as posters, flyers, brochures, magazines, whole cards and any other print solution of your choice ensure that our customers are always happily connected to their audience. With our security printing section, our clients are assured of a highly secured and confidential work process from start to finish. At Appointed Time, our prices are very, very competitive. Locate us at the old GNTC building near Swansea Shopping Arcade, Accra. Contact us on 0501 454165 0501 454167. Appointed Time Printing Limited. Our printing is the solution.
JA Plant Food Ghana Limited has introduced the all-new Jeto X70 Plus to the market. Jeto X70 Plus is a modern, spacious family SUV with a stylish design, advanced technology, and outstanding quality that promises you luxury with affordability. Jeto X70 Plus comes with an exceptional engine warranty of 4 years or 100,000 kilometers, giving you the ultimate peace of mind for years to come. And our dedicated service center at J Plant Pool offers you a wide range of car services and world-class customer support. The exclusive and outstanding. Get yourself the all-new Jeto X70 Plus. Get in touch with J Plant Pool Ghana Limited on 020-0000-831 or info@jplantpoolgh.com. Visit jplantpoolgh.com for more information.
Step into success with Accra Business School. Boost your career with our prestigious MSc degrees from KNUST. Pick from Human Resource Management, Communication and International Relations, Public Affairs. In just 12 months, our MBA can be yours. Dive into our BSc programs in IT Security and Cybercrime, IT Management and Business and Management, endorsed by top universities in Ireland and Wales. We offer flexible entry, payment and learning options. It's time to unlock your potential and take flight. Visit www.abs.edu.gh or dial 0263 888 555. Let Accra Business School elevate your future today.
Right, welcome back to the show. If you just joined us, this is Good Morning Ghana live on Metro TV. With me on the show this morning, I have the Communications Director of the MPP, Richard Agyapa. Richard, good morning. Also with me on the show this morning is the National Communications Officer of the NDC, Sammy Jemfi. Sammy, good morning. Good morning. Right. All right, so I keep telling you about how you can secure a future with a quality education. And you can do that with Accra Business School. Boost your career with your prestigious MSc degrees from KNUST. You can pick up from human resource management, communication and international marketing, international relations, public affairs or IT management. In just 12 months, our MBA can be yours. Dive into the BSc programs in IT security and cybercrime, IT management and business management endorsed by top universities in Ireland and Wales. And the Accra Business School offers flexible entry payment and learning options convenient to you. It's time to unlock your potential and take position. Visit www.abs.edu.gh or call the Accra Business School on 0263 888 555 or 0263 888 666. Visit the campus at Spintex Road, Christ Square. Let Accra Business School elevate your future today. And you deserve to enjoy the fruits of your labor. I mean, for all you put into that beautiful home, mansion or office, aging or infirmity needs not stop you. And you need not worry, because with a portable American pneumatic vacuum elevators known as PVEs, you're sure of unlimited enjoyment of your mansions and homes. It's a simple to use self-supported elevator for vertical movement of humans and goods at homes and offices. The original comes in 3 custom-made models with wheelchair accessibility to choose from. You may call it luxury, but it's a necessary imperative for vertical mobility. Do not let aging or infirmity limit you. Get one for your easy vertical mobility at home or office. It's affordable and can be installed within 3 days with modification to your building. Visit Lift and Elevators Ghana at Sakumono for your solutions and free consultations. You can reach Lift and Elevators on 0200-535-515, 0200-535-515, or email at elevatorsgh@gmail.com. And what does wealth mean to you? Do you want to live like a tycoon? Remember, Osgo the Mola got the power. Ghana's newest lottery game draws live on Adom TV at 9 a.m., 12 p.m., and 6 p.m. daily. Now pick up your phones, tablets, and computers and download the Game Park Games app on Play Store. You can also play on their websites www.gameparkgames.com or by dialing *946# on all networks. Just choose 4 numbers from 0 to 9. It's easy to play and easy to win. Charlie, make we play the game and make some mola. Nobody beats our odds in Ghana. Game Park Games, more mola, more power. And this game is regulated by the National Lottery Authority and is not for persons under 18. Play responsibly. All right. Now to my panelists. Richard, you made the front pages of some of the newspapers. Yes. I've seen you on the front page of, is it a Statesman? Yes. I think so.
I hope for good reasons.
I can't tell, yes. It's a government vindicated over Agyapa deal. NPP hails ECOWAS court's no wrongdoing verdict. So I saw it, I said, well, okay. So I decided to check out what the plaintiff sent to court. And of course, what the verdict of the ECOWAS court was. But since these are attributed to you, let me listen to you.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you very much. I think the issue about Agyapa is one that we're all very familiar with. And it rings very loudly when you just go back a bit in 2020 when the campaign was perhaps revving up, and then it just, launched on all of us as a new thing, as though it just started yesterday. But when you look at the trend of its evolution, it started way back in 2018. The foundation for it started in 2018 with the passage of Act 978. which was an act that was passed with the cooperation of majority and minority to establish an institution that will manage Ghana's equity interest in mining companies, something that was designed to benefit Ghanaians. And part of the MIF dream, that's the Mineral Income Investment Fund, part of his dream was to find ways to securitize the revenue that Ghana gets from these mining companies. And so the act was amended, this was in 2020, to give it that space to be able to establish a special purpose vehicle to pursue that dream. And so it was run around this time that conversations about its being an interference with the rights of Ghanaians to have access or to control their natural resources, and therefore the suggestion that it was something being done against the interest of Ghanaians. And also you recall the individuals who were working, or companies who were working to craft that very complex deal to ensure that Ghana has the capacity to be able to securitize its mineral royalties or income. Having identified them raises some concern immediately without verification, without proof that there was something untoward being done, and it was characterized as a takeover of Ghana's mineral resources by one family, a family of the president, seeking to wrestle it away from Ghanaians and for their own personal benefit. And so it triggered some conversation. I recall the former president in a campaign in Volta region raised the question what government was going to do with the 1 billion it was seeking to raise from the securitization or the IPO that government was intending to announce. And so that created a firestorm, which civil society organization coming in eventually triggered the special prosecutor to investigate corruption, possible corruption risks involved in the whole construct to give Ghana the opportunity to be able to raise revenue on the capital market without it directly being tied to government's debt, so that the MIF, through the special purpose vehicle they will create, will be on its own, more or less an independent entity that will be able to go to market on the strength of its resources, be able to raise money. I think at the time something up to about $1 billion to then be able to invest in big capital projects, and also to improve infrastructure in Ghana, and specifically in the area of mining, to build domestic capacity. And so that was the view that the Agyapa eventually was supposed to achieve for Ghana. But then because of the individuals who were helping to bring this to life, people realized or concluded without evidence that there was something untoward being done. And so there was agitations, even though the Ministry of Finance engaged severally the CSOs and all interest groups to ensure that clarity prevailed. I think it didn't. And so the Agyapa was supposed to be listed on the stock exchange, London Stock Exchange and Ghana Stock Exchange. At the point, because of the intractable nature of the conversation, the time elapsed. I think the minister issued the time for the listing on the stock exchange elapsed, and then the president directed that the minister reviews and resubmits some of the agreements to Parliament later. So eventually that's where the deal got to, and has not been resubmitted to Parliament. And so this group, which is led by Transparency International, Ghana Integrity Initiative, and I think the Anti-Corruption Coalition, went to the ECOWAS court to seek some review. I think out of about 5 or so reliefs they were seeking to try to end or investigate the Agyapa deal altogether. And I think their principal relief was to suggest that the government was affecting the rights of Ghanaians to control their mineral resource or wealth. And so this was the relief before the court. And the court, having examined all the evidence, has come up with a conclusion that there was possibly no evidence of corruption, that what was being done did not in any way
corruption.
Sorry?
Corruption.
Well, there's the general perception.
But that was not one of the releases.
I'm just saying that, but the general allegation.
So let me just, for the benefit of our viewers, let me just go through the
reliefs.
6 reliefs. Yeah. Okay. So first, the 3 applicants prayed the court for a declaration that the defendant's actions towards entering into a relationship agreement with Minerals Income Investment Fund and Agyapa Royalties Limited in respect of transactions surrendering the sovereignty of Ghana over its gold mineral resources in perpetuity constitutes an interference with the right guaranteed under Article 21(1) of the African Charter on Human Rights, Human and People's Rights, as well as violation of Articles 2(1), 2(3), 1, 16(1), and 17(3) of the Revised African Convention on the Conservation of Nature and Natural Resources, that's the Revised Maputo Convention. Secondly, the applicants also sought an order restraining the defendant from implementing the Agyapa deal and cancelling/terminating the already existing contracts. Thirdly, an order mandating the defendant, where it desires to raise immediate funds from gold royalties, to restart the plan in impact assessment, consultations, and other preparations in line with its international human rights law obligations. Fourthly, an order mandating the defendant to undertake a thorough and impartial investigation into the alleged corruption offenses and ensure that any alleged perpetrators are brought to justice and held accountable for any violations. Fifthly, an order mandating the defendant to immediately review its existing relevant national laws and policies to A, provide for adequate and effective safeguard against violation of the right to free disposal of wealth and natural resources by public officials and public bodies. Follow revised ECOWAS treaties, fundamental principles enshrined in Article 4, paragraphs 8 and H, and ensure compliance with this Article 31. Ensure that any entity with a function of sovereign wealth fund complies with the best international standards such as the Santiago Principles, and lastly, other consequential orders as the court may deem fit to grant in the circumstance. Okay, so the judgment also captured the court's earlier ruling in which it expunged the name of the first applicant, Transparency International, from the list of applicants on grounds that it had not demonstrated its interest in the matter and was not a member of the ECOWAS community based on the preliminary objection of the respondent, the Republic of Ghana. So the Republic of Ghana also had a response. So this was the response. The government of Ghana, in its response to the contention of the applicant, submitted that the Parliament of the respondent state, Parliament of Ghana, approved 5 agreements comprising of the Mineral Royalties Investment Agreement and 4 other related agreements. Government of Ghana also submitted that the MIIF was established by the MIIF Act 2018, Act 978, as amended by Act 1024. And the mandate of the MIIF is to manage the equity interest of the respondent in mining companies and receive royalties on behalf of the respondent. The respondent further narrated that the MIIF is mandated to create SPVs in any jurisdiction and to procure listing on the same on a reputable government stock exchange. Government again stated in its response that the investment agreement provided the terms under which Agyapa Royalties Limited is to be incorporated as an SPV, and that the MIIF is to hold 51% of the shares in Agyapa on behalf of the respondent and the people of Ghana, and the remainder 49% is to be listed on the London Stock Exchange and Ghana Stock Exchange simultaneously. The government in its response refuted allegation of the 3 applicants that the purported monetization of the royalties with respect to gold mining activities or extraction accruing to the citizens constitutes an interference with their rights. And the court essentially reduced the case of the applicants to a 3-fold claim. The first being an alleged transaction that interferes with the enjoyment of the rights of the people of Ghana. The applicant's claim in this regard was that the government of Ghana has put all machinery in place to misappropriate the Commonwealth of Ghana without taking the exclusive interests of the people into consideration. The second was that Article 2567 of the Constitution of Ghana, which states that every mineral in its natural state, in, under, and upon any land in Ghana, rivers, streams, watercourses throughout Ghana, the exclusive economic zone, and any area covered by the territorial sea or continental shelf is the property of the Republic of Ghana and shall be vested in the President on behalf of and trust for the people of Ghana, goes contrary to the provisions in Article 21.1 of the ACHPR, which provides that, quote, all people shall freely dispose of their wealth and natural resources. This right shall be exercised in the exclusive interest of the people. In no case shall the people be deprived of it. The last was that certain persons involved in the transaction are politically exposed persons. The court concluded in its judgment that it considers the general obligation of the state, Ghana, pursuant to Article 21.1 of the ACHPR, is for the member states to recognize the rights, duties, and freedoms contained within the Charter and to implement legislation and other measures to give effect to same. The court, having considered the obligation Article 21.1 of the ACHPR and the provision Article 2567 of the Constitution of Ghana, adjudges that the latter, that's Ghana, has complied fully with obligation under Article 21.1 of the ACHPR and dismisses the claim pertaining to Article 21.1 of the ACHPR. In this regard, the CCJ stated in its judgment, with respect to the issue that they are politically exposed persons within the transaction, the court finds that the applicant has failed to show how this has affected the exploitation of the Commonwealth for the benefit of the people of Ghana. And says it is necessary for applicants to substantiate the complaints they raise before the court with evidence. The court aligns itself with this ratio and dismisses this allegation of the applicants as it has not been proved. In its conclusion, the court noted that it considers the claims of the applicants a preemptive one, which has been brought hastily without due consideration as to the rudiments of bringing a claim for the violation of human rights. Whilst important that human rights are jealously guarded, the court will admonish the applicants that democratic pillars like parliamentary approval form checks and balances for the safeguard of human rights. Unless uncontroverted evidence establishes that these safeguards have been breached, any attempt to saddle the respondent with liability will be discountenanced by the court. Consequently, the court dismisses all claims of the applicants and so holds the judgment of the CCJ. So that's it.
Yeah. So essentially, all claims of impropriety, possible insinuations of corruption, and the processes tending to the establishment of the SPV and the leveraging of that to raise revenue for the country has been thoroughly reviewed by the courts, and the conclusion for me that Ghanaians should be refreshing for us to say that, okay, so then how then do we re-examine that, if possible, to try and extract the inherent advantage that Agyapa portends for Ghana, the prospect of being able to raise long-term capital, the emphasis long-term capital for our development needs as a people in a unified way. The way it began with the passage of the MIF Act in 2018, how do we proceed in that unified manner to be able to realize the dreams of securitizing our returns from the mineral royalties that we get to be able to help our development. I think that was something that we needed to underscore. And then with the verdict coming, one that is not from a Ghanaian jurisdiction, for where we would say or insinuate any sort of maneuvering, even though it's needless to even insinuate that. But then from an independent jurisdiction, one whose reputation cannot be questioned, even if we want to question the reputations of our courts here in our country. I think that it's comforting to note that I think the some finality has been brought to the issue, and now those who are concerned may have some peace to understand that nothing untoward was being done. And then if, as a country, we decide to proceed with this, then we'll proceed with the peace of mind that we're all doing it in the best interest of our country. I thought that it was good to put that out for Ghanaians, at least to kind of demonstrate that what people may have taken in during the heated conversation in 2020, supposing that something definitely wrong was being done, at least now can take solace in the ruling that had Agyapa moved forward then, Ghana was not going to be shortchanged. I thought that was something that I needed to share, and I felt that it was worthy. I think I was a tweet on my page, and then later on some discussions with some of the media houses, newspaper outlets that led to that publication.
So, I mean, going through the ruling, I'm sure that you've read it. Two things influencing the decision. One is the parliamentary approval, and two, the court's position that the plaintiffs did not prove the issues that they had raised concerning politically exposed persons.
Well, thank you very much, Doc. And let me say a very good morning to our cherry viewers and my good brother, Richard Agyapa. As usual, our friends in the MPP have been very, very mischievous on this matter. I've seen tweets from Gabi Asarot-Redako, Kowesuma, my good brother Richard Agyapa, and other leading MPP members, creating the impression that the Community Court of ECOWAS has given the Agyapa deal, the infamous Agyapa deal, a clean bill of health. They have okayed the deal, they have endorsed it, they have adjudged the deal as proper. They have adjudged the deal as a good deal, and so on and so forth. But Doc, nothing could be further from the truth. Those claims by our friends in the NPP are simply mischievous. They are not borne out by the facts of the decision which has been given by the Community Court of ECOWAS. What they are doing is like, let me give you a practical example before I go into the merits of the issue. It's like, Doc, a doctor sees you, and from the symptoms you are showing, tells you that you are sick of malaria. You are sick of malaria, and you need treatment urgently. And then you decide to go and see another medical doctor with a different health condition. So you go to the doctor and say, Doctor, I'm told I'm sick, and I want you to check if I have typhoid or pneumonia. Let me use pneumonia as an example. Then the doctor checks you and says, you don't have pneumonia. So once the doctor...
Slight technical hitch, so we'll be back shortly.
Sometimes the unexpected happens and the hero falls down in his own story. But he needs not stay down for long. Cosmopolitan Health Insurance is your trusted health partner. Whether an individual building a business, with Cosmopolitan Health Insurance, your medical care is our concern. For the best health insurance solutions for corporate institutions, groups and associations, families and individuals, choose Cosmopolitan Health Insurance from our over 700 accredited health service providers nationwide. Call us on 0302 540 668 or 0501 678 547 for all your health insurance solutions. Cosmopolitan Health Insurance, your medical care is our concern.
Right, welcome back to the show. If you just joined us, this is Good Morning Ghana live on Metro TV, and apologies for that break there, but I guess we're fine now. Sammy Jenfiu so Sammy, if you can just start your
okay. So first of all,
of those who didn't.
A very good morning to our cherry viewers, my good brother Richard. The point I was making, Doc, is that the position that has been taken by our friends in the MPP on the latest judgment from the Community Court of ECOWAS on the infamous Agyapa deal is mischievous and nothing more. The claims they are making to the effect that the Community Court of ECOWAS has certified the Agyapa deal or endorsed it or given it a clean bill of health, that there is nothing wrong with it, there is no corruption in it and so on, is not borne out by the facts contained in the judgment of the Community Court of ECOWAS. What they are doing is that they are setting their own questions and they are proceeding to answer their own questions. And I want to give you a very practical scenario to demonstrate the point I'm making. If, for example, you go to a doctor with certain symptoms, and the doctor, upon examination, tells you that you are sick of malaria and that you require urgent treatment, and that you move from this doctor who has diagnosed you of malaria to another doctor, and you go to the doctor and say, "Doctor, I want you to check, examine me if I'm suffering from pneumonia." And the doctor examines, after his examination, tells you that, "Look, you are not suffering from any pneumonia." And then you come out and say, "You see, the first doctor lied. He said I was sick, but another doctor says I'm not sick." That is what our friends in the MPP are doing. Forgetting that the first doctor diagnosed you of malaria, but the case you sent to the second doctor was not a case of malaria, but pneumonia. And that is why the second diagnosis was negative, that you had no pneumonia. But that is not to say that the first diagnosis that said that you are suffering from malaria was wrong. What do I mean by this? Doc, what was the Agyapa deal about? What was our opposition to the infamous Agyapa deal about? And I'm speaking for the NDC here. We said basically three things. That number one, the entire rationale behind the deal was totally unacceptable, because the deal was seeking to encumber future revenue streams. And if it had been implemented, would have actually denied future generations, future governments of the needed revenue from our royalties, our mineral royalties. And that practice was bad for this country. Because every government, when it is elected and takes over office, comes to mobilize revenue. They come to collect revenue due during the pendency of their tenure. So if it is VAT, they collect VAT. If it is mineral royalties, they collect mineral royalties due as at that time. And royalties that the country is entitled to as at the time that the government is in office. And they use these royalties, these taxes and so on, to implement their vision for the country. That is what all successive governments have done. in our history. And so we cannot have a government that comes into office, borrows more than all governments since independence. They come into office, they get more tax revenue than all governments since independence, more oil revenues than all governments since independence. They waste all those revenues, and having done that, they begin to monetize future revenues so that they can spend that now and deprive future generations and future governments of those revenue, which is what Agyapa was about. Agyapa simply was about taking 75.6% of the mineral royalties that Ghana is entitled to, investing that 75.6% of our mineral royalties into a so-called special purpose vehicle called Agyapa royalties, first incorporated as Asase royalties. And I hope the name Asase rings a bell. We know the owner of Asase Radio. So, initially incorporated as Asase royalties.
There's no connection between the two.
Oh, okay. And then later changed to Agyapa royalties. Then we were told that after creating this SPV, investing into it, this 75.6% of our royalties, Ghana through MIF was going to have 51% of the company, and that the remaining 49% was going to be floated on the London Stock Exchange. In other words, we're going to sell it 49% for $500 million. Then we said no. Apart from the fact that the 49% is heavily undervalued, and Imani did all the analysis to show that that 49% was undervalued and worth far more than the $500 million we're going to sell it for. We said that no. If you go and sell this and you take the $500 million, you are going to spend it today. What happens to future generations? What happens to future governments? You would have deprived them of these revenues for the implementation of their vision when they take office. And so it is not prudent, it is not wise for government, having wasted the unprecedented resource envelope that has accrued to it, to now seek to encumber future revenue streams in this manner. In fact, perpetually, they were going to sell 49% of the stake in the Agyapa royalties perpetually for $500 million. So the first position we took against this deal was that it was a bad deal in that it was going to encumber future revenue streams. And bear in mind that the NPP had done a similar arrangement with Get Fund. All successive governments come, they collect Get Fund, which is 2.5% of VAT, introduced by the NDC Rawlings administration for investments in education. That is what all governments have done. If President Rawlings had collateralized Get Fund receipts or receivables for the next 50 years and had collected those monies in advance, taxes which have not been paid, you go to investors and say, give me a loan. And so that when the taxes are paid, they come to you. If Rawlings had done that and had spent the monies, Kufuor would not have had access to Get Fund revenue for educational investments. Meos Mahama would not have gotten revenues from Get Fund for educational investments. So, why is it that this government, after getting so much and wasting it, now want to even go into the future and monitor future revenue streams? Like they did in the case of, they have done in the case of Get Fund. Today, when we pay Get Fund levy, 2.5% of that, a greater chunk of it, above 60 to 70%, goes into the repayment of loan. Because this government decided to monetize Get Fund. They took about $1.5 billion loan and collateralized Get Fund. So the Get Fund levy that we are yet to pay, we will be paying it too, but the government cannot assess that for educational investments because a government, the Kufuor NPP government, chose to monetize it. They took the money and we can't even see what they use the money for. They did the same thing with Esla. They did the same thing with our bauxite through the Sino-Hydro deal. So when it got to Agyapa, we said, not our mineral royalties. You can't monetize it. Collect what is due the country during your tenure, use it for your vision, and allow successive governments to come and collect what is due the country during their tenure for development. That was our first point. The second point was that the 49% that we're going to sell for $500 million was heavily undervalued. And we did all the analysis. I've already referred to the document that was published by Imani on this to show that it was undervalued. And in fact, experts in that field have indicated that since this deal, was aborted, we have made far more than the $500 million from our mineral royalties. Proof positive that Agyapa was nothing but a rip-off. We're going to get far less than 49% of our mineral royalties actually, than the real value of 49% of our mineral royalties, if I can put it that way. Then the third point had to do with the findings of the Office of Special Prosecutor, established by the NPP, and headed by a man the NPP described as incorruptible at the time, Martin ABK Amidu, who, after conducting painstaking investigations into the matter, came out with a damning report that the deal was fraught with procurement rigging and that there was a risk of corruption in the deal. He spoke about breach of the public procurement law in the selection of legal intermediaries and transaction advisors. He spoke about cronyism, nepotism, and so on and so forth. So these are the three main issues that we raised against the infamous Agyapa deal, which led to, the president asking that it be withdrawn and represented to Parliament. Now, what went to the Community Court of ECOWAS was a totally different matter. A totally different matter. What went there, the case that was presented to the Community Court of ECOWAS was not that Agyapa deal was fraught with procurement. A totally different matter. Now a human rights matter. And so, Richard, if you are reading a judgment, this is right. The most important thing to do is not even to look at the reliefs, Doc. The first thing you look for is the issue for determination. That is what the lawyers call, when you go to law school first year, they will teach you something called IRAC. In analyzing every decision, they say IRAC. The I means issue, the R means rule, A means application, C means conclusion. So the three most important ingredients or elements to look for in every judgment. Number one is, what was the issue for determination? Number two, what rule was applied by the courts? And number three, what was the decision? What the lawyers call the ratio of the case. Doc, let's look at the issue for determination. Can I borrow your document for a second? Yes. If you check...
That's what they call narrow to two.
In fact, there was one issue.
Okay.
Paragraph 64. The issue is there. Paragraph 64. On page 25. Merits. It says, the court having considered the claims before it and the contentions to the claims has formulated a single issue for determination on the merits to wit. This is the issue. Whether the respondent has breached Article 21.1 of the African Charter on Human and People's Rights as claimed. That was a single issue. What does Article 21.1 say? All peoples shall freely dispose of their wealth and natural resources. This right shall be exercised in the exclusive interest of the people. In no case shall a people be deprived of it. This was the case. It was not about procurement breaches or anything. So the issue for determination was whether or not the Agyapa deal, as at the time it was presented to the Community Court of ECOWAS, amounted to the government of Ghana disposing of the commonwealth, the natural resources of Ghana, okay, disposing it off without benefiting the people of this country. That was what the case was about. So what was the decision? Paragraph 76 and paragraph 77, the decision is there. When I'm done, I'll read the conclusion to you, you'll understand it. Now the court says, from what you have presented to us, number one, you have shown us processes emanating from your own institutions, which the democratic institutions include your parliament, and your parliament has approved the deal. And so if your parliament has approved the deal, and you have also not demonstrated to us that this Agyapa deal amounts to government misappropriating or disposing of the natural resources of Ghana, it has not even happened yet, then we can't agree with you. Because the court says, don't, unlike Ghana, you see Ghana, when you look at our provisions on fundamental human rights, the breach must not happen before you can go to court. Even if there is a threatened breach of fundamental human rights, you can go to court. Doc, you understand me? Even if there is a threatened breach and the breach has not happened, in Ghana, you can go to court. But under the African Charter on Human Rights and People's Rights, the breach must have happened. So it is not enough to say that government has put in place a machinery to do this. They are asking you, has it been done? Has the natural resources of Ghana been taken away from Ghanaians? That has not been done as at the time of this suit. And your parliament has occasioned the deal, so we have nothing to say. That is basically the decision. Let me read it to you. Paragraph 76. The court is quick to state that the proof required in this instance of a claim for breach under Article 21(1) of the African Charter on Human and People's Rights is that the commonwealth of the people of Ghana has been disposed of in a way that doesn't benefit them, thereby depriving them of it. What this court has before it are in fact evidence of processes that flow from democratic institutions and have gained approval from the people's representatives, that is the parliament. Doc, are you listening? There is no evidence before this court pointing to the actual misappropriation of the commonwealth of the people of Ghana that has deprived the people from benefiting from it. So he's saying that as at the time of the suit, there is nothing in the deal or in the document that shows that our natural resources have actually been taken from us as Ghanaians. It had not happened. So you come to paragraph 77. After considering the submissions and arguments of the parties, the court has not found any evidence to support the allegation of misappropriation to the detriment of the people of Ghana. The court finds it necessary to emphasize that for a violation of Article 21(1) of the African Charter on Human and People's Rights to occur, the people must be deprived of the Commonwealth. Must be deprived of the Commonwealth. In this way, the court dismisses the applicant's claim for a violation of Article 21(1) of the African Charter on Human and People's Rights. So, come to the conclusion. Paragraph 82. Rich, yours doesn't have paragraph 82. Maybe you lost it somewhere. But I can read it for you from my phone. Paragraph 82. Just a second. Okay. So paragraph 82. In fact, you read even snipers of it. In conclusion, the court considers the claims of the applicants a preemptive one. What does it mean preemptive? It means that what they are complaining of has not happened. Our natural resources as a country has not been taken away from us. So it has not happened. So the court considers the claims of the applicants as a preemptive one, which has been brought hastily without due consideration as to the rudiments of bringing a claim for the violation of human rights. Whilst it is important that human rights are jealously guarded, the court will admonish the applicants that democratic pillars like parliamentary approval form checks and balances for the safeguard of human rights. So if your parliament has approved it, you can't say it violates human rights. That's what they are telling you. This in no way contradicts all the issues we raised, we as civil society raised against Agyapa. Because we didn't say that the Agyapa deal violates human rights. Did you hear us say that? We never raised human rights issues. Neither did we say that the Agyapa deal was going to lead to a situation where our natural resources were going to be taken away from us. We're saying that, number one, you were going to monetize future revenue streams in the nature of mineral royalties and deny future governments and future generations of that. And that is bad. You've had enough. If you meant well for this country, you could have transformed this country with unprecedented resource envelope that has accrued to you. Number two, we said that no, even the 49% you are going to sell for $500 million is undervalued. If we are at all going to monetize 49% of our mineral royalties, it is worth far more than $500 million. And posterity has vindicated us. Then number three, we said, and later the special prosecutor confirmed that the deal was fraught with illegalities, breaches of the public procurement law, chronism and so on, procurement rigging. Did the community court say that there was no procurement rigging?
It was not before.
It was not before them. So it's like the person who was told by a doctor that you are suffering from malaria. Then he went to court and asked another doctor to examine him and see if he's suffering from pneumonia. Once the second doctor said he was not suffering from pneumonia, voila, he said the first doctor lied. Because I'm not suffering from pneumonia, then I cannot be suffering from malaria. What kind of warped logic is that? So look, let them not seek to claim any victory. The only people who have been victorious in this matter are the good people of this country, who today retain total control over our mineral royalties. Because if Agyapa has seen the light of day, we would have sold 49% of our mineral royalties for $500 million, when it is actually worth far more and has actually given the nation far more within the short period that this deal was even aborted. And we would have denied future generations of that. In any case, the most critical one, just to conclude, was that the transaction advisor for the deal, called Imara Group. Doc, you remember them from South Africa. Mm-hmm. And their local collaborators, partners, called Data Bank, a company established by the finance minister of this country, were not part of the initial bidding for the contract, but were smuggled in, according to investigations and findings of the special prosecutor. Has the Community Court of ECOWAS disproved this? No. Have they disputed it? No.
It wasn't before them.
It was not before them. Number two, and they don't even have the jurisdiction to even go into such matters. Then number two, the special prosecutor found, as we had already indicated on public record, that the deal had an international component. Because the Imara Group, the parent company of Imara Group, is a foreign company. And if you look at the agreement between them and Data Bank, it was an international business transaction within the meaning of Article 181, Clause 5 of the 1992 Constitution. Therefore, required parliamentary approval. Therefore, the lack of parliamentary approval and the lack of adherence to the public procurement law rendered the transaction illegal. It is on that basis that we said that under this illegal agreement, African Legal Associates, a law firm owned by a cousin of President Akufo-Addo, Gabi Ochredako, had been paid huge sums of money. In fact, his good friend, our senior brother, Malik Kwekubako, disclosed that Gabi was paid $103,000. His company, African Legal Associates, was paid $103,000. So we said, illegality is a vitiating factor. You can't put something on nothing and expect it to stand. And so if the deal is illegal, then just like the Isophoton Waterville decisions of the Supreme Court, those payments should be refunded to the state, because Gabi's African Legal Associates and Data Bank had been paid transaction advisor fees under the illegal contracts. And the deal was illegal because, according to the special prosecutor, the independent office of the special prosecutor, which investigated this matter, the deal violated Article 181, Clause 5 of the 1992 Constitution and the public procurement law. These issues were not interrogated by the Community Court of ECOWAS because they were not before them. And even if the issues were presented to them, they could not have gone into them because they lacked jurisdiction. The issue has never been a human rights matter. And so please, stop this mischievous attempt of claiming glory, creating the impression that the Community Court has certified and endorsed the Agyapa deal, when that is not the case. They were only called upon to determine whether the deal and the conduct of government relative to the deal violated a certain provision of the African Charter on human and people's rights. That is what they determined and said, no, it doesn't violate this provision. They did not go into issues of procurement rigging, procurement breaches, breaches of Article 181 Clause 5, and so on and so forth. It's as simple as that.
All right. So, as the Makers Electronics Blessing Attack promo rush to the Makers Electronics Company Limited for up to 67% discount on selected appliances such as Samsung, LG, Move, NASCO, TCL, Media, and Toshiba. They have quality but affordable electronic appliances with 2 years manufacturer defect warranty. You can visit the showrooms of the Makers Electronics Company Limited at the Taifa Burkina Highway, Amasaman Zongo Junction, Oyarifa Teman Boga Junction, Kaswa New Market, Ashaman Balko Flat, Kumasi Ainima Kokobin, Takrade Kuma number 9 Market. And you can reach the Makers Electronics Company Limited on 055-2222-53 or 055-2222-54. The Makers Electronics Company Limited, large and in charge with quality but affordable home appliances and consumer electronics. Terms and conditions apply. Are you ready to get way more back with Betway in the new season? Use the golden booking code that you can find on the Betway site and place your risk-free bet from 25th to 27th of August. Guaranteed to give you 100% back as a free bet up to 50 cedis if you lose. This is regulated by the Gaming Commission of Ghana and it's not for persons under the age of 18. Terms and conditions apply. Betway, bet your way. Can I bet on you, Richard?
Certainly.
Okay.
Certainly.
Let's go.
You know, Sami, as usual, has gone about talking, and he's finished talking but said very little, except to go back to the litigation they mounted into 2020 against the Agyapa deal. Their position was a political one. They just were not interested. In fact, it was a clear contradiction of what they believe in. You know, that the NDC in 2011 were interested in advancing a similar arrangement under former President John Evans Atta Mills, except they couldn't carry on for certain difficulties, which we also encountered, which makes the transaction a very complex one. This is the whole concept of securitizing and therefore creating almost an appearance of a sovereign bond program. It's something new. Very few countries have done that. But the ones who have done it successfully have used it to their development advantage. So the whole concept is a holy one. The idea of driving the view of trying to obtain that special purpose vehicle to make sure that Ghana was able to then leverage its royalties is something that cannot be disputed. And somebody went around but never actually in essence, in principle, disputed what was being done. Now, the peripheral issue of suspicion, and that was why I was saying that earlier. The peripheral issue of suspicion of people who are involved in the process, which has not been proven, to say that they were not doing any work or they haven't done any work and they were earning monies, has not been proven by somebody or anybody. To say that by the mention of Africa Legal Associates, part of the thinking box that is originating this idea or shepherding this idea for Ghana then to be able, one of the first countries in the sub-region, to drive that kind of initiative is just simply wrong just because it's involved. I find it very preposterous. I find it contradictory to the NDC's own position and belief and their conduct in government. I don't want to mention names and go into that. To say that because somebody is a relative of the president, which Sami knows what I am saying, and having been practiced by the NDC, justified by the NDC, even though criticized by some, now goes about to say that just by mention of any familiar relations with anyone engaged in this, in formulating and designing this deal by design is corrupt, is unacceptable, and therefore jettison the whole creative idea of raising money. Just jettison it because of mention of people who are related to that person or that person, without examining the content and understanding the deal. And much of what Sabi said was legal without reference to understanding really what we're going to obtain from this. The value that the Agyapa deal held for us. So therefore, they dealt with the peripheral issues, smell corruption, because somebody who was known to the president is involved in shaping the idea. And I thought that that was so simplistic of the NDC. And even now today, after the review of the court is talking about just people's human rights and whatnot, is it supposed to mean that Transparency International and the rest of those didn't have standing? Because what it says is that the dismissal of their case really amounted to nothing. So therefore they went to court seeking nothing, that they didn't have reason to go there at all.
No,
you understand?
What I heard him say was that they went to the court for specific reasons, and that the spin being put on the issue is as if all the issues that were raised against the Agyapa deal
have been addressed.
Are the issues that were before the court, and that the court has vindicated the respondents.
Right, but you see, on that, so there is no disputing the fact that on whatever case they brought, which we all have read, including suspicions of corruption, has been vindicated.
No, but
I agree with
if you read the decision of the court, the court did not go into issues of corruption.
But I'm just saying,
the court did not make any judgment on allegations of corruption.
I hear you. Now,
no, not me. I'm just saying you have the document. Yes.
But I'm saying I hear what you're saying, but I'm reading what is here also. In principle, you went there to have a certain review of the case. And what is instructive for me is that the court then indicates that their application before them was preemptive.
Yes.
Okay? We suggest that a process that is unfolding, just because people decided to besmirch the process and mischaracterize it, you showed up in court and says that something wrong is happening. That's essentially the point. And so therefore, by that understanding, all of the NDC's position that they have advanced equally preemptive, because there hasn't been anything, the deal itself properly has not been implemented. Because if you hear what Sami is saying, the 49%, now first of all, the 100% of the company, okay, before any floating of the shares on London or Ghana Stock Exchange, is Ghana government's property, out of which 51% will be retained and 41%, Sami, is not going to be sold in perpetuity. It's going to be floated, and people will buy those shares. Open to me, open to you, all of us. Open market operation that everybody who is interested could go and buy. Now, that share that you're buying, it is not just to get 500,000. That was the market estimation saying that if we float 49% of the shares, we are likely at minimum to raise 500 million. The potential for it to raise in excess of 500 million exists depending on the market embrace of the shares that you're floating. So that you could go to float 49%. By the time you finish selling about 50% of the 49, you've exceeded the 500 based on the demand. Simply that. So the estimate here is not undervalued. Imani made the same case, and that was not tenable. Because at the time, when you go to market, it's a different situation. Yes, of course, you can go to market and probably float the 49 for less than the 500 million that you're expecting. But the probability exists that you'll get more. So you cannot at any given time say that that estimation 500 is an undervalued situation. And unless unless you have conditions.
Yeah, just a minute.
Okay.
You know, you don't arrive at the figure 500. Let's say, and this is not addressed to you. Let's say through a dream or a vision. It is on the basis of evaluation by professionals. That is how come you come by that figure. So it's not a figure that you just dream of. It is a figure that is arrived at on the basis of what you think your assets are. In this case, your mineral resources, and then what you think the value of those mineral resources per unit are, and therefore you expect to raise a certain amount of money.
Right. But then also that assessment also takes into account, takes into account the market perception, of whatever it is. So it's a new thing you are starting, and people sure it's going to be this, it's going to be that. But the point that is important to make, Senior, is this, that it doesn't constitute an undervaluation because that amount, you are not tied to it. Okay? You are not signing any contract that all I want to realize is 500,000. But you are making a conservative estimate based on the factors that you are considering, and based on certain history going into the market that we expect to raise 500. And you know, it happens all the time. When we go to the Eurobond market to raise funds, we go with a certain estimation that we want to raise this amount of money, and it ends up being oversubscribed. It is based on people's perception, but we want to raise about $1 billion. But then people's interest in looking at Ghana, its potential, the capacity to pay and all of that, to say that, look, I am interested, and you get oversubscribed. So the market reacts in a certain way that you cannot say that because they're raising 500,000, it's cast in stone. No. And so that's a clear misunderstanding of the deal, which then suggests to the NDC that they are going to securitize this for the life of it, and future generation will not have access to it. No, it's not. It is actually going to be generating value so that the 49, in a period of time based on the management of it, could end up exceeding billions, because the share value will appreciate based on the performance of the company. So it's a function of management. So this is actually an ingenious avenue to get Ghana revenue, long-term revenue. So if assuming even that, the 500 million is what we realize, over time that appreciates because the share value based on continuous demand, based on how it is managed, the 500 million in a couple of days, in a couple of months, that's how the stock market works, appreciates in values. And then see there, the possibility of that in terms of liability for the country Ghana is absent. So in terms of any liability ensuing from that transaction, it ends with the company. So as a country, we don't inherit the debt or any debt that would accrue from that transaction. So for me, the issues that the NDC were raising, for which reasons Sami is reading through whatever he's doing, is peripheral matter. The essential consideration should have been, what is the motive of Agyapa? That was set aside, and people capitalized on their suspicion. Because you mentioned the name of Ken Oforiatta, because you mentioned the name of Gabi, then necessarily what is being done is wrong. That supposition, for me, is unhelpful. That supposition is wrong, particularly from a political party who resisted the characterization of a person associated with your government and said that it was okay and advanced that very position for the time you were in government. And so that at least give the deal a chance, look at it. I want to hear Sami this morning to say that, having considered and learned about what Agyapa is going to do, 100% company owned by the government of Ghana, retaining 51% share, inviting the world, including Ghanaians, to participate in a 49% share of that company. The Ghanaian court has jurisdiction. They can apply or go through processes to ensure that it's reviewed here. But I'm saying to you that if you, in your sober moments, if you just take away the politics, which was what NDC was doing, which is what Sami is continuing here to do, without looking at the merit of the thing. Because I was saying yesterday that the biggest problem of our country is revenue, right? We have a lot.
Are we sure it is not expenditure?
Well, you can say that, but my argument, that's my theory and narrative. You can counter with yours if you think it's expenditure. But I believe...
No, I'm asking you.
No, I'm telling
because
you
when I examine the data and I look at expenditure and I look at the quantum of the expenditure that goes into capex, I'm convinced that our problem is expenditure, not revenue.
But that is if you are looking at it at a limited way. But if you are looking at it broadly, if you have more revenue, your expenditure.
I'm doing so broadly.
But I'm saying So
if you don't tame your expenditure, no matter your revenue, because if you look at this country's revenue, you would see, if you compare even over the last 10 years, you will see a certain monumental increase in terms of our revenue.
Yeah. But just indulge the assumption, I'm sure you understand what I'm saying, to say that if you have revenue, your expenditure necessarily does not become a problem. If you understand that the expenditure is leading, to the outcomes that you are.
That's why I raised the issue of capex.
Yes, fine. I mean, but then the point is that if you have revenue,
if you have the habit of snorting cocaine, it doesn't matter the revenue you make.
That's a very extreme example to
no, I'm just dealing with expenditure.
It's like we are talking issues here on earth, and you have gone to heaven to make reference. Let's stay.
They don't snort cocaine in heaven.
But your example is like a bit. So what I'm saying is that revenue is our problem. Now, so if you have a government seeking to find creative ways, legitimate and regenerative way of making revenue available for the state, that should be interrogated dispassionately and look at it fairly and advance with it. Which is why initially when I was talking to you, I told you that the NDC in Parliament was cooperating. They were cooperating with the process. They were involved in the passage of the MIF Act, and the subsequent undertakings, except that it got to a point where they realized, I don't know, I don't want to be mischievous and insinuate wrong motive to the NDC, is to say that they realized at some point, and this is actually, I think it's fair, they realized that going forward with the Agyapa thing would give some advantage to the state, and therefore the benefit to government when MPP is in power is something they want to deny. Because I cannot understand, maybe you can help me again with a Heveling example. I cannot understand for the life of me that a political party interested in exploring that very avenue of securitizing our revenues from mineral royalties in 2011, not a century ago, just recently, and did not go ahead with it for whatever reasons, sees another implementing that. So there is an establishment of fundamental faith in the thing by their trial, and so should be interested in examining the content of it. Yes, if it was because you find the relative of the president part of it that is a problem, investigate their standing in the case. Are they doing legitimate work? Is that work useful? Is that work helpful to the cause? Is it going to materialize in achieving that objective? You can examine that, can take it to court, do whatever number of things you want to do with it. But you don't throw away the concept which you believe in necessarily just because you want to insinuate corruption.
What's the maximum amount of money we expected to get from this?
But you see, so the thing about it, and because it's a market situation, you cannot put a ceiling. Because during that time I was studying the Norwegian sovereign fund, and where it started from and where it's got into, in excess of billions, right? We started from just very small investment, and then it grew. So the potential for this long term, and that's why I wanted Sami to be mindful when he's saying that future generation will not have benefit and all of that. It's not true. It's actually it's an investment in the future, so that the 49% share that we are floating, that 49% share remains. We can buy it back from those people.
Yeah.
So the potential for the
Richie, you're not addressing my question.
But you don't,
how much did government intend to rake in from this deal?
That is inestimable because of the because it's just hold on.
Just speak to government's document. I can appreciate the point you make that it could go up, it could come down.
Yeah. So, but
government had a certain estimation.
Yes.
Yeah. So
that estimation.
How much were we expecting?
So that estimation is going to market estimation. That if we go to market today to float 49% of our 100% stake in Agyapa royalties, we are likely to raise 500 million.
Over which period?
Over which period? By floating the 49% share. It could be 1 day, it could be 2 days, right? Okay. By floating the 49. Okay. So people will come and buy the 49 shares.
So we expect to get about $500 million.
$500 million. Okay. But then I've explained to you, and things in there, we need to contextualize this well, because the realities of the market we all know. So by floating the 49, we get 500 million. But if we know the market operates on certain realities. So when you go to market today, and Ghana announced the initial offering of 49%, and 1 million people across the world say, oh, I want to buy 1%, 2%, 3%, that escalates the price. So right now, even in that minute, whilst you announce and the interest level, and that also is linked to all the conversation leading to it. So then that's why you need political consensus from home to show that this is a unified project that the country is presenting. So any political, mischaracterization or doubt and things like that, bad mouthing of the thing, can affect the market value of it.
I understand what you're saying.
So what I'm saying is to answer your question and to be able to demonstrate the potential that it had for us.
We should battle for more than 25 minutes. There are many other topics.
I sat here.
We're running circles.
Go on.
Okay. If we go to market today, and assuming that the estimate we took was 500, but then the demand in the market was such that people wanted to participate in buying the shares, that 500, you will exceed it. So it's a conservative estimate based on analysis to say that all things being equal, you can raise 500 million. So you are not tied to that.
Why I asked the question is that for every collateralization that your government goes into, we hear issues like this. Yet they never end up solving the problems for which we are told that that strategy was intended to solve. An example is ESLA. The debt situation in the energy sector has rather worsened to irredeemable levels. I'm sure that you have a data of our indebtedness in that sector, despite all the things we were told about with respect to collateralizing it. In fact, the evidence suggests that even the proceeds from the collateralization were not even spent on the purpose. And these are documents that the finance minister himself has presented.
But those are two different things.
No, you still don't get the point.
I get it.
I'm just saying that
there's
something they say in Tree as Kabian Sudi. It's a saying.
I'm saying that.
I'm saying that, and I'm just saying that to say that, look, if we take, for example, COVID, 30 billion. We say we spent 2 billion on direct COVID expenditure. We still find ourselves somewhere. We take the Bank of Ghana lending to government. We have broken.
Bank of Ghana.
We have broken all the.
Syria, you are taking.
Let me finish, please. Kindly, I am trying to demonstrate actions of a government.
Okay.
Because we are made to believe that this Agyapa is like a game changer. And the point.
And that's why I wanted to stay with it.
So the point I'm making.
Do you disagree?
I am saying that.
Do you disagree? That's why I'm taking the trouble.
So I'm just telling you. that if we even move the 500 million to 1 billion, I'm just saying that if I look at the resources that has been made available to this government, or that this government has come by, this is not the first time that we are talking about collateralization. I've given you the example of ESLA.
So the collateralization that you are referring to is different from what Agyapa is seeking to do.
No,
they are different.
No, I don't see.
They are entirely different.
Is it not about increasing the resource envelope of this country?
No.
Is it not?
No, just hold on.
Is it not about more revenue?
Just hold on. So the point I am making is this.
Yes.
To do with Agyapa, you are listing this as an entity share on stock markets, Ghana and London.
Yes.
Which people can invest in.
Yes.
And the management of that over time.
Yes.
Yields dividend for the country.
How is it different from ESLA?
Just grant me. ESLA is not listed on the London Stock Exchange. It's not listed there.
But
I'm just saying. So see, this is why I want you to stay with one thing.
No, I
the
don't.
point is that if you want to discuss, though, we can go back to that.
No,
I'm just saying that.
No,
Syria,
Richard, don't. Okay, I was going to say don't attempt, but don't try to restrict how I analyze to ask questions. At the end of the day, irrespective of the processes,
we are creating an impression and drawing into this conversation other things that we have not set out.
No,
to
what is the objective?
If you want us to discuss,
is the objective not Agyapa? Is the objective of Agyapa not about increasing the revenue streams available to government? Is that not the objective?
If you want to discuss ESLA...
No, I'm asking you a simple question. Is that not the objective?
It is not simple to just answer that question, yes or no. I'm just saying that. Because the deal with ESLA is not what we're discussing. And if we're discussing... I'm not even discussing ESLA. No, I'm just saying that. Simply just allow me to discuss what is on the table.
I am asking a question. And you are preventing me from asking the
question. The question is distracting me from answering the fundamental question.
You wait, let me ask you my question. If I finish, you can choose not to answer it.
Because you are by that...
I am just saying that this whole Agyapa thing is to provide resources, revenue for government. It is about government creating another revenue stream, is it not? Is that not the objective?
Do you agree with that objective or not?
I'm asking you, is that not the objective?
Senior, just allow me to proceed.
No, is that not the objective?
Because I find your question distracting. I don't know how to answer that question when I am making a position for you. I just want you to appreciate. If you disagree with the position I'm advancing...
If I disagree with what?
If you disagree with the position I'm analyzing for you...
Which is?
That going to market, okay, we are likely to raise this amount of money.
I don't have issues with all those things you are raising.
Yes. So let's discuss that, because that's the issue you have brought. When you are diverting,
what's the issue I've brought?
The issue we are discussing is Agyapa, and I'm talking about Agyapa, but the veering off into other things actually takes focus away from that.
Veering off,
and it's creating impression.
Hold on. The veering off starts from you.
No. I've just been talking about Agyapa.
Let me point that to you.
Which one?
If a group goes to court on a violation of Article 21, Article 21, a human rights issue, and you take the ruling, and in discussing the ruling and vindicating government's position, you make it look as if that ruling has dealt with all issues that people raised against Agyapa, when the ruling itself is clear about what the people went to court for and what the decision of the court is about.
Okay.
How then do you, in creating this, then turn around and say that other people are rather engaged in a diversion and are not speaking to the issue?
But how does that bring in ESLA and the rest? I'm just limited. As for Sabi's conversation about what the NDC wants and all of that, I've established to you that it's peripheral matter, which has nothing to do with the substantive engagement to advance the interests of this country. So that's a peripheral matter. It is you who is asking questions about how different is this from ESLA and the rest. And I'm trying to show you that essentially it's different. But if you want to discuss ESLA PLC, let's do that.
Not discussing ESLA.
Okay, no. But so don't ask about that. Let's focus.
I want to know the objective of this. At the end of the day, what do we seek to achieve?
You know the objective.
What is it? What do we seek to achieve?
Are you honestly saying you don't know?
No, what do we seek to achieve? I want you to tell me, because you
I've been telling you that all day.
Which is what?
That it is to leverage our royalties
in order
to raise a long-term capital.
So we are raising revenue.
Yeah.
So we are raising revenue.
Yes.
By collateralizing our resources.
It's different. Is different in principle from collateralization. You securitize it, sharing the interest of the company with others, 49%, with others who are interested by that, and through the growth of the company, the share price or share values appreciate, and the country that benefits from that. So it's a growing business. It's not a static business, right? Where you take a certain amount and say, well, take my revenue till I pay it off. Okay, it's quite different. So the business itself, having obtained that initial 500 million or 1 billion or however much the 49% shares amount to, is able to continue to grow so that your liability becomes profit over time, because then the value of the shares, if you sell, you'll make more than how much you took from market when you sold the shares.
Right.
So this is an ingenious position and something that ought to be looked at dispassionately. But people's politics got in the way, and that's why I'm saying that with this review, however limited you want to say it is, for me, it's a clear validation of the thing to say that if another person takes this case again to court, because the thing will essentially inure to the benefit of the country, will not win, because the value of Agyapa to the country is clear and it has nothing untoward. And I made the point clearly, specifically, because Sabi was quoting Imani, my good friend, Franklin Kujo, and the rest over there, saying that, oh, it's an undervalued, the shares have been undervalued, stated at 500 million. It's not. It's a clear misunderstanding of what the deal was seeking to do. It's a clear misunderstanding of what business the government was trying to do by listing this company for people to participate and raise revenue. It could have been 1 billion, it could have been 1 trillion, depending on market demand and interest when that shares goes to market. And that was why it was necessary and useful. And the NDC perhaps realized that. And then there was why they brought about all that political opposition. In fact, if we had gone to market, probabilities are that perhaps we may not have raised enough because of all the political conversation that attended its approval and all of that. So going forward, rather than the NDC and Sami clearly misunderstanding the issue, the party realizes this value. We should look at this dispassionately. The idea that it is securitizing or doing this and future generation will not have access to is false, and Sami should move away from that knowledge, and that it is something that is a living, breathing business that will be out there making profit in the name of the state. And let me state that 51% of that business belong to the people of Ghana, and the 49% that is shared and sold on the stock market, we reserve the rights to buy them back. So at any given time, if we decide to get that 49% back, given the value that is accrued to the business, we can get all of that shares back. So the company, Agyapa Royalties Limited, is Ghana business, belong to Ghanaians. Nothing has been taken away from Ghana. Right. Nothing has been taken away from Ghanaians, which is the reason why this ruling is right and vindicates the government's position.
All right. Okay.
La. Doc, Richard has been speaking for close to 30 minutes.
I've been engaging him.
Doc, what are we discussing? You made reference to a front page publication,
yes,
which references a statement he has made. Statesman, I believe, right?
Government vindicated over Japan.
Can we see? Maybe can we see?
NPP hails ECOWAS court's no wrongdoing verdict.
This is what we are discussing.
Yes.
Government vindicated over Agyapa deal. MPP hails ECOWAS calls no wrongdoing verdict. This is what we are discussing. And it has been established beyond doubt that this is false.
What is false?
This is mischievous. That front page statement attributed to my good brother Richard Agyapa. Very typical of him. You see,
but the plaintiff said that the government was acting against
Article 21,
yes,
one
and
of the African
and
Charter.
the court disagrees with them.
And I'm saying, but is that what Richard is saying on the front page?
Well, that's his interpretation.
That interpretation is hogwash. That interpretation is mischievous. That interpretation is contrived. It has no legs to stand on whatsoever. Did the court say that there is no wrongdoing in Agyapa? I just read to you the issue for determination, the court's decision, and the rationale for the decision, and the conclusion. I just read to you. Instructively, he has the printed decision before him. I don't even think he has read it. Maybe he just saw Gabi Ochedaku's tweets. Maybe.
That's unfair.
Gabi is. I said maybe.
It was you who came here last time and never read the document. I have the document.
No, I said maybe. I can't say maybe.
Zilia, he likes to
Gabi is his mentor. That is his boss.
No, just see the document.
That is his boss.
Look
Gabi is the one.
Look at it.
My brother.
You are the one who came here last time and didn't read
once.
stuff. No, you were doing that. You are making false.
Can I make my point?
I'm saying
so
that.
You saw Gabi all over Twitter claiming vindication and attacking the Ghanaian media in the process. That the media will not discuss this vindication from the Community Court of ECOWAS. That shows that there is no wrongdoing in the Agyapa deal. You heard Esuman. Then you also went and wrote plenty grammar. Now you are here, an intellectual platform to justify the statement you made. You are found wanting. Because as has been demonstrated to you, and you have not been able to dispute the issue before the Community Court of ECOWAS was not whether or not there is wrongdoing in Agyapa.
So why
the issues of procurement breaches which the special prosecutor found in Agyapa were not before the court.
So why did they go to court? If there was no wrongdoing, why did they go to court?
Please, I keep on telling you
that
a citizen of Ghana.
Was that a supposition of wrongdoing?
My brother, you know, I really respect you.
That's okay. I'm related to Chama. It's important.
No, I will not allow it. I am not one of those who allow it. I will not allow it. Let me make my point.
Please. I can be rowdy and but just wait.
Let me make my point. You've had your time. You've spoken for about 30 minutes.
Screaming.
Let me make my point.
Samuel, stop.
Let me make my point.
You've been speaking more than me.
You've been speaking for about 30 minutes. Let me make my point.
I want you to ask her. I want you to ask him that the reason they go to court is not a supposition of wrongdoing why they went there for interpretation.
Let me make my point.
Because you make a sweeping statement that was no wrongdoing.
You don't tell Dr. Randiabe the questions he must ask.
See that you are being too lenient on Sammy. You allow him to say this baseless things and walk away as if he's making sense. It's not making sense. Fundamentally, he doesn't even understand the Japanese.
I thought you allow him to carry on with me. Yeah. I thought you asked me.
Ask him.
Please.
You sit here and just say things and walk away.
Stop attempting.
No, because you are enabling him too much.
Stop attempting to tell me what to do.
No, Basilia, you allow him, he says all these stupid things and go away. But when I'm saying you engage me, he just said things that are not true and walk away with it.
Richard, you say things that he disagrees with you.
No, but this is a clear...
Hold on.
Okay, Karen.
You say things that he disagrees with you. He writes them down.
But haven't I written?
Hold on.
But when they are glaring...
Would you allow me to speak?
Carry on, sir. Carry on.
He writes them down. When he gets the opportunity, he deals with them. In fact, when he was speaking, you wrote a lot down.
Right.
When he finished, you dealt with... The most part of your submission had to do with reactions to things he has said. You didn't disagree with him when he was saying it, but you wrote them down. And when you had the opportunity, you reacted to those things.
Basilia, whilst I was talking, he was...
Won't you allow me to finish?
It's okay. I just find it objectionable that he's making sweeping statements of falsehoods and you won't correct him and he's carrying on with it as if it's correct.
You objected to many things that he said. You wrote them down. You had the opportunity. You spent time to deal with them. Why can't you continue the same way?
Basilia, you engage me.
No, we are still wasting time. Can I have the newspaper?
I'm just asking you.
So I was just suggesting to you that ask him that was it not a supposition of wrongdoing why they went to court? Ask him.
You can ask him that. Just write it down and ask him.
But you would ask me if I'm speaking.
I am saying that.
So I want you to ask him too. So he can explain. But if you don't ask him, people assume that what he's saying is true. But what he's saying is not true.
Just go on.
This is what is being discussed for emphasis.
Yes.
Viewers are discerning.
Yes.
This is Richard Agyapa on the front page of the Daily Statesman.
Yes.
He says, government vindicated over Agyapa deal. MPP hails ECOWAS court's
no quote,
yes.
quote,
Yes.
no wrongdoing, unquote,
Yes.
verdict. I'm saying, which parts of this 34-page decision of the Community Court of ECOWAS says that there is no wrongdoing in Agyapa?
So Sammy,
Doc,
Sammy,
let me
that,
okay.
no, you've asked a question.
Sure.
In the ruling, those who went to court said that government did wrong by not adhering to Article 21H of the law in terms of the human rights of the Ghanaian people, in terms of the enjoyment of the rights of their mineral resources.
Yeah.
The ECOWAS court says that to the extent that the thing went through the People's Representatives Parliament and it was approved, no abuse of human rights or infringement of human rights has been occasioned. And therefore, they have thrown out the case.
Yes, and I'm saying that, is that the same as saying that the court said that there is no wrongdoing in Agyapa? The wrongdoings in Agyapa we have been complaining about have to do with, number one, findings by the independent office of the special prosecutor that there were procurement rigging, procurement breaches, and violation of the Constitution of Ghana.
But these were not before the court.
Yes. So how then do you take that court decision, which only interrogated or dealt with a red herring, an issue which had not even been raised in the debate over Agyapa? The issue, nobody in the debate on the Agyapa deal raised an issue of Article 21(1) of the African Charter on Human and People's Rights.
Those who went to court raised it.
They raised it in courts. Yeah. But I'm saying that we, the NDC, never raised that. We held 2 press conferences on Agyapa, one addressed by my good self, one addressed by the then General Secretary General Mosquito. We never raised it. Imani never raised it. PIAC never raised it. ISODEC never raised it. ASEP never raised it. That is the point I'm making. And so I'm saying that that issue is just one issue which some CSO decided to take to the ECOWAS, the Community Court of Justice of ECOWAS.
Yes.
But beyond that issue are more fundamental issues which has to do with breaches of our laws, procurement law, Constitution of Ghana, issues of opacity, and so on, which have been confirmed by the independent office of the special prosecutor. Those issues have not been disputed or disproven by the Community Court of ECOWAS because the issues were not before the court in the first place.
Yes.
So it is mischievous, deceitful, disingenuous for the communication director of the MPP to go out and say that, look, based on this court's decision from the Community Court of Justice of ECOWAS, there is nothing wrong with Agyapa, which is what they are saying all over Twitter and social media, and even attacking the media in the process. You peddled falsehood, or maybe you were misled by the people you look up to. So clearly, and I've educated you, or I have explained how court decisions are supposed to be analyzed and interpreted. I've read to you the issue for determination. I've read to you how the law, the rule, which was used to determine the matter. I've read to you the application of the rule to the facts, the ratio of the case. I've read everything to you, and you are still going on in circles. So first of all, you now want to shift cultivation. You see, you catch them here, they run here. They claim vindication, they are court pans down. Now they have moved. They are now re-litigating the substance of the Agyapa deal, which has been aborted. The deal your own government has withdrawn for parliament. The president said it should be worked on, rectified, and relayed. You have not even gotten the courage to relay it before parliament.
Maybe
you want to now use Good Morning Ghana.
No, maybe after this ruling, they will do it.
Let's interrogate some of the claims he makes. He says what we are saying, what we've been saying about Agyapa, corruption and all that, has to do with suspicion. Where from that? The special prosecutor found that the transaction advisors in Mara Group and Data Bank were smuggled into the procurement process. He actually makes a finding of procurement rigging and breaches of the public procurement law. Is that suspicion? Why the NCA trial? Why were those people imprisoned? Dr. Puni, check the charge sheets based upon which he's being tried. Why is he being prosecuted? Do you know the number of people your government is prosecuting for breaches of the public procurement law? So you are prosecuting people based on suspicion. Breaches of the procurement law, as found by Martin Amidu. suspicion. Then he says, oh, then they see this, then they see that. We oppose it because we saw that the deal will benefit the country. Oh, okay, so Matanamidu also opposed the deal because he saw that it will benefit Ghana. The alliance of CSOs in the extractive sector and anti-corruption CSOs, good governance CSOs, all of them, more than 20 CSOs, PIAC, Imani, ASEP, ISODEC, all of them, they opposed Agyapa because they are NDC people who saw that the deal will benefit Ghana, according to Richard Anyabe's logic. You see, you people should credit Ghanaians with some intelligence. The argument you are making doesn't hold water. This thing is not an NDC matter. Patriotic people spoke out of conscience based on their own thorough analysis of the issues. And they took positions on the matter. Now you want to come and say that NDC people oppose it because they saw that the deal will benefit the country. What you said, the 30 minutes you went about ranting and all, tell me one thing you said relative to this deal which could benefit Ghana. What did you say? That we're going to sell 49% shares in Agyapa. And that we're expecting to get $500 million. And that even though the real value, worth of that 49% stake in Agyapa, which is 49% of our mineral royalties, may be lower than the real value. That's what he said, though. But it is business. We'll be trading it and we will be making profit. What you're saying, Christ, like you don't understand it. No, if you float shares on the stock exchange, who told you profit is constant? Don't you hear people making losses on the stock exchange all the time?
But he alluded to that.
So what is the point about we're going to make profit so the value will go up? In any case, if you float 40% shares in Agyapa and people buy, and they make profits on their shares, would that profit come to Ghana? If you own shares in a company and you make profit, the profit comes to you, the shareholder, the one who has bought the shares.
Well, he enhances the value of the 51, so they can offload more.
Yes, but the 49 profit on the 49 will be retained by the holders of the 49.
True.
That's it. Yeah, and we are saying that the 49, the real value is not $500 million. So you can't say that because in the future you are hoping that you may be getting profit on the entire SPV, which can lead to an increase in your 51% stake. Then we should sell the 49% stake for a price far lower than what it is valued at. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. So my brother, look, and this point about it was not in perpetuity. What do you mean by that? The 49% shares you were going to float, if people bought it, they were going to hold it for a period. They were going to hold it. You buy shares.
It's in perpetuity.
It's in perpetuity. You say, Richard, you guys, take your time. When people give you information, take your time and analyze it. We are all managing communications. So people will tell you so many things. Take your time and analyze it well before you come out with such information. Doc, you ask this good friend of ours a very simple question. How much were you expecting to get from Agyapa? He couldn't answer. He said it's not a simple question. It took him about 5 to 10 minutes before he answered that. You asked him, is this not about raising revenue just like you did in the case of Esla? He said it's not a straight question, I can't answer.
No, he thought I was oversimplifying it. Yeah.
The similarity is this. What they have done with Esla, what they have done with Get Fund, is similar to what they were seeking to do with our mineral royalties, in the sense that it all borders on the monetization of future revenue streams. So, in the case of Get Fund, Ghanaians pay VAT 2.5% called Get Fund levy, which is used for educational investments. They come and say, we have collected Get Fund under us. But the Get Fund which will be collected in the next 10 years, which Ghanaians have not yet paid, Doc, listen, we are going to take a loan and collateralize those future Get Fund receivables, so that when Ghanaians pay the Get Fund levy in the future, we will use it to go and pay the loan. So the loan we are taking now, we will spend it now. When you come in the future, you won't have that Get Fund, because what did you Get Fund now with the Kutuyaka? Then the same thing they did in Esla. John Mahama introduces Esla to clear energy sector levies. They call Mahama names. They said he's wicked, he's insensitive, and that ESLA was a nuisance tax which they will abolish. They come to office, they rather increase ESLA. And after increasing it, they collateralize it for a loan. And when they took the loan, they didn't use it for the original intendment of ESLA. So that today we have collected so much in ESLA, yet the indebtedness of the state in the energy sector keeps rising because it is not being applied for its original intendment. These are the same people who have had more monies, more revenue than any government in history. As of 2022, they have had over 820 billion cedis. You've borrowed more than any government in history. You've had revenue from 3 oil fields and so all these monies you've wasted and plunged the country into a debt mess. You now want to resuscitate a debt corrupt deal, which, according to our special prosecutor, is a ripoff and which you have withdrawn from Parliament. You should try it. No, I just want to conclude by, because I'm just doing 5 minutes, I won't Kasatin Topongo, by just appealing to your production team to play a short clip which you usually play, which summarizes my submission.
Which one?
It's about a 20 seconds clip about
one?
Politicians who eat current and future money.
We play it every morning.
Oh, don't.
No, we play it every morning.
No, but for purposes of the point I'm making, Doc, just play that.
Even nursery kids can
recite
it.
I beg.
No.
No, Doc, it was summer. I don't want to talk for 10 minutes.
No, it's okay.
I don't want to talk for 10 minutes.
It's okay.
Just I beg.
Any viewer of Good Morning Ghana
Doc, I beg
is conversant with the video.
I beg you.
I'll play at the end of the show.
Oh, somebody may be watching the show for the first time.
I'll play it at the end.
At the end of the show. It summarizes everything.
Okay.
You have chopped current money.
Yes.
After chopping the current money, you've gone to our central bank to print over 80 billion for you. We can't see what you use the money for. Okay. You've chopped it again. You've written off about half of that money because you have misused it. After the gold royalties that has been a source of revenue for this country since time immemorial, you've collected your own portion as a government. You said that one too is not enough. You want to take what future generations and future governments will be entitled to. Take it now and chop. So that when future generations and future governments come, the mineral royalties, a chunk of it will be going to the, would have been taken for the by the shareholders forever. Okay. So please, you guys, think about this nation small. Be patriotic small. You are first of all Ghanaians before being NPP people. This pension for grabbing everything, this state capture must end. And don't try that on the back of this community, ECOWAS community court decision, which you are misinterpreting, you will resuscitate this dead, infamous Agyapa deal.
Right.
Nobody will support it.
Richard, in 2 minutes.
Yeah. So, the reason
he's talking again.
The reason
I came in. He made a rebuttal for 30 minutes.
The reason I was trying to get your attention to correct something the way you would do to me is because Sami is making sweeping statements that misrepresent the position of the ruling.
Okay.
The people who went to court had some grievance. They went to court. That grievance they had relates to the Agyapa deal. And that grievance have been found to be baseless. In which case, what wrongdoing they claim is not wrongdoing, and therefore government vindicated. Now, if Sami, so that's, I want that to be on record.
So that's what you sought to.
That's the context in which we're making the statement.
Okay.
So
that's the context. Please. That's what it says.
Okay.
And it's important. Like, he make this sweeping statement and walk away with it, and you don't engage him, so he gets away with it. And I thought that one should be put on record.
All right.
Now, you see, Sami does not understand the deal. And he sits here telling me, oh, somebody will tell you what. This is basic stuff. The 49% share is not sold in perpetuity. What the people who went to court were claiming, and he says, I didn't read, if you read, you would have seen the argument about what is held in perpetuity is the 75.6% that you were talking about. That the ARG, the shares, the royalties that comes from the mining companies, 48 of them, the royalties that come, 48 of them, was ceded to the subsidiary of Agyapa, Royalties Limited. Okay, they are holding it as a subsidiary of it, and that is what is being traded. Okay, so the 75.6% is the total royalties that comes, the 100% of the royalties that come to government. 75.6 of it is ceded to the ARG, a subsidiary of Agyapa, to be, that's what is going to be traded. Then the rest is government manages that. Okay, so that is what the conversation was about, that is ceded to them in perpetuity. But even that is not true. So the shares.
So can I ask you a question?
Yes.
What is seeded? The 70-something you speak about.
Right.
That is what is going to be traded on the stock exchange.
So that is the volume of royalties that will go to the Agyapa.
So that becomes the 100%.
That becomes the 100%.
And then 49% of that will be traded on the stock exchange.
Yes.
Now, if I were to buy any of the ones traded on the stock exchange, do I have a timeline? Am I buying a share for 5 years, for 10 years, for 15 years, for 1 day?
No.
It is forever.
You bought
Once
it,
I buy the share, it's
hold
forever.
on, but that is not perpetuity.
What is it?
When you buy it,
Yes.
the company Agyapa reserves the right to buy it back from you. We can buy it
Even
back
if I don't want to sell.
Huh?
Even if I don't want to sell.
Well, well, it's not the same thing as in perpetuity. That is not the concept. You can buy it.
Well,
okay?
what I'm just trying to
but
understand
what
is
you are
that
buying,
if I go to a stock exchange today and I go buy shares, it is up to me to decide whether I want to offload the shares or I want to keep them forever.
Right.
There are no timelines to say that this share is just for 5 years.
Fine,
or for
fine.
1 year.
I agree. But I'm saying that in the context of Agyapa, when you talk about perpetuity in relation to the deal, is reference to the amount of royalties, the percentage of which is ceded to the subsidiary of Agyapa.
Which is what will be listed.
Which also will be listed. And now, when you buy it, at any given time, the company is trading, right? And so, at the point, like you said, and I think rightly you pointed out to him, the value of the shares appreciate, and the 51% then appreciate. So, the capacity of the state to make a proposition, say, if we want to buy that back, we can buy it back. It happens all the time that where a company lists shares and he wants to buy it back, it can buy it back. It has that right to want to buy it back. Okay? So what Sami is saying, he doesn't understand the deal, and that's fine. You see, the problem is that the NDC would want to set its own question and answer. And I didn't come even here to want to make it a political issue. That's why I said that the vindication of this matter is clear for us to then examine the content of the proposition made by Agyapa to see whether or not there is value in that for us to advance with. But Sami is unrepentant and hanging on their opposition by every means necessary and not even looking at the deal or even trying to understand the deal. When I'm making reference to the fact that his own political party tried to do the same thing in 2011. So for me, but for politics, but for the baseless suspicion and just the mention of somebody's name gets the whole thing scattered. That for me is what that I wanted him to depart from. And then let's look at the thing on its base and its merit. It's not about a discussion of vindicate and it is now reading whatever law and all of that. It is in principle to say that is this of value to us? Is where as economy, where we are, is it of value to us? Was it a solution to our problem? And all of the answer to all of that is yes.
Okay.
And the extreme politicization of the thing is creating a problem. Now, of course, over the time when President asked that it should be resubmitted, all these matters would have been dealt with. Okay? So if that option is on the table, I'm not interested in the political...
Which option?
Huh?
Which option?
The option of re-examining, which then would mean consultation if they said that didn't happen, which happened, part of it, CSOs were engaged and all of that. And then maybe any concerns about procurement stuff and all of that will be looked at. And in the process of time, when the deal in 2020, when it was evolving, that capacity existed for that engagement to be done. Okay, so when we go past that, Sabi, we need to learn to say that our communication or our effort is to drive some value for the country. It's not just to argue for the sake of it.
All right.
And that's why my preoccupation has been that to focus on the value that we can extract from this as economy. What benefit can we derive from it? Not about words, not about reading conclusions and issues and all of that, because all of those things are peripheral matter.
Right.
What is essential is how do we resolve the revenue problem of our country? And I think that Agyapa was a good proposition, except that it ran into a political headwind which prevented it from materializing. And that's for me the substance of the matter.
That's end for us.
Yeah, two quick issues. I wouldn't have spoken again, but you see, this is a very big and important platform. I can see a certain fatigue on your part in not pushing Richard further on this issue of
this issue because you always let him run. He was making baseless.
No problem. I withdraw the comments about.
Last week was Sami accusing me of pampering you.
Yeah.
This week is you accusing me
of
not asking.
I'm
fine.
If you review the program,
I'm fine with
you always know that.
But when I make my point, you will understand.
I will. And he gets away with all the falsehoods.
You see, we are sitting here not because we know more than those watching us.
Sure.
So sometimes when, for political ends, we engage in plain sophistry, we may think that we are deceiving people, but we may be making a mockery of ourselves in the process. How can you sit on TV and say that you are going to flow 49% shares in Agyapa on the London Stock Exchange and then the Ghana Stock Exchange, and that Agyapa, or what, MIF, representing Ghana with 51% stake, can always buy back those shares at will? How can you say that? Do you have an understanding of company law? I have shares. You can buy the shares from me at will if I'm not ready to sell. The main shareholder can only exercise what is called preemptive rights. That is, if I decide to sell my shares, then he will have the first right of refusal, the first option to buy the shares. This is basic in company law. But there is no law anywhere that somebody will buy shares in the company and the main shareholder can force that shareholder to sell, by force.
I thought I established that with Richard.
Please, let's not do this to ourselves, Then he says that everything I've said are peripheral. Peripheral breaches of public procurement law are peripheral. Breaches of the 1992 Constitution are peripheral. Procurement rigging established by the Office of Special Prosecutor, peripheral. That is your understanding of peripheral. We thank you. Then we will continue to dabble in the peripherals because this peripheral is very good. Doc, you see, contrary to the claims of Richard that we are criticizing this deal because of the mere mention of some names, that is not the case. We are criticizing it because those names and their companies have been beneficiaries of an illegal transaction, according to the Office of Special Prosecutor, which they set up. They appointed the first Special Prosecutor, Martin Amidu. And Martin Amidu, after he did his investigations and submitted the 64-page report to the president, was categorical that Data Bank, which is owned by the president cousin Ken Oforiatta, and their partners have engaged in procurement rigging and breaches of the public procurement law. Not just that, but breaches of Article 181, Clause 5, which is the same law Woyome, Waterville, and the Isofuton contracts violated. Doc, you understand? So, we are saying that those monies which have been paid to them, millions of cedis, which can provide food for our children in basic schools who cannot even have access to a decent meal under the school feeding program. Secondary school children who cannot have access to a decent meal. These monies can do a lot for them. They can do a lot in printing textbooks. It can do a lot in creating opportunities for the teeming unemployed youth of this country. We should be focusing rather than resuscitating a dead Ejaboni deal. You should be telling us what your government intends to do to recover the illegal payments that have been made to your boss, Gabi Ochedako's African Legal Associates, and Data Bank under the illegal Agyapa deal. That is it. You have not been able to address any of the legal
Let's leave it
here. Stop.
Interestingly,
attacking
in the last 2 weeks, we've been discussing.
One of the
5
key pillars that the CEO of the Minerals Commission believes can really maximize the benefits of the extractive industry in Ghana, and that includes domestic financing. Anyway, but gentlemen, we'll leave it here.
Have you heard the latest on BOG?
BOG.
Yeah, the revelation by the
son of man will be here tomorrow morning. So.
Fantastic.
Yes. Yeah, so
all viewers should make it a point to watch.
Book your seats tomorrow.
Scary. Tomorrow. Scandalous.
All right. Okay.
Scandalous.
So thanks, Richard.
Scandalous.
Who are you chatting with?
Oh, hold on, I was just looking at.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Madam sent him a message to tone down on attacks on you because
but Sylvia, you have to engage because he makes needless accusations and then misinformation that you let him go by, and because you engage me, people think that what I'm saying.
Doc is engaging you.
Oh no, come on.
I've said it on this platform.
The statement
Doc has asked me to withdraw.
Both of you kindly get out of my studio. Up next, our conversation with the Minerals Commission.
Government is broke. The people are spending billions to go inside the government that is broke. Have you ever seen a minister who resigned because government is broke before? Government has no money. Have you ever seen a governor who said, ladies and gentlemen, when I was elected, I thought the government had money. Now I discover government has no money, I resign. Have you ever seen it? Government has no money, but they are bringing money out at election time. Where is that money coming from? So they are lying. What is happening is that there are two types of wicked people in government. Type 1, they eat current money. Any money they find in government, they will eat it. They are wicked about that one. There is type 2. Type 2, they eat current money and future money. They will say, my term will end next year. When I leave, how will I eat money? Let me borrow money now and borrow money of the future and eat it now.
Sometimes the unexpected happens and the hero falls down in his own story. But he needs not stay down for long. Cosmopolitan Health Insurance is your trusted health partner. Whether an individual building a business, with Cosmopolitan Health Insurance, your medical care is our concern. For the best health insurance solutions for corporate institutions, groups and associations, families and individuals, choose Cosmopolitan Health Insurance from our over 700 accredited health service providers nationwide. Call us on 0302 540 668 or 0501 678 547 for all your health insurance solutions. Cosmopolitan Health Insurance, your medical care is our concern.
Enjoy the fruits of your labor, they say, but as humans, aging and physical infirmity stands our way of enjoying our mansions and homes. It often becomes challenging, if not impossible, to use our stairways day in, day out. With portable American pneumatic vacuum elevators, PVs, you are assured of unlimited enjoyment of your mansions and homes. It's a self-supported elevator for vertical movement of humans and goods at homes and offices. The original comes in 3 custom-made models with wheelchair accessibility. Call it luxury, but it's a necessary imperative for vertical mobility. Do not let aging or infirmity limit you. Get one for your easy vertical mobility at home. It's affordable and can be installed in just 3 days without modification to your existing building. It's however easier to incorporate it at the construction stage. We also have traditional Fuji elevators and escalators for your high-rise buildings and malls. Visit Lifts and Elevators Company Limited at Sakumono for your elevators nationwide. For free consultation to call or WhatsApp us on 0200 535 515. Lifts and Elevators, the elevator people.
My name is John, and this is my long-time crush, my cookie dipped in strawberry yogurt. On this scorching hot afternoon on our way back from a long job hunt, we met this good Samaritan who offered us 6 weeks later.
A special wedding reception for our bride and groom.
And there she is, my cookie, dipped in someone else's yogurt.
Who holds the moolah, calls the shots. Play game by games, the easiest lottery to play and win. Big phone numbers from 0 to 9 up to 3 times daily to become one of our daily lucky winners. Dial *946# to play now, or you can also play online at www.gamepackgames.com. Game Park is regulated by the National Lottery Authority.
Hello.
Betway is your gateway to a theme park full of gaming excitement. A whirlpool of wonder where your favorite games come to life. Where you can take to the skies with max payouts that reach into the millions. All in the palm of your hand. Visit betway.com.gh. Terms and conditions apply. Betway is regulated by the Gaming Commission of Ghana. No under 18. Bet responsibly. Betway. Bet your way.
My son, there's more blessing in giving than receiving. When you fear for and couple the makers in
The pneumatological aberration of the Lord revealed unto me this night that me and my household should go out into the world and bless the world.
Makers Electronics Company Limited. I'm up to 67% discount. Our selected appliances.
This is what I call quintessential immaculatability.
The Makers Electronics Company Limited. Ewo Taifa Burkina Highway. Amasa Mainzongo Junction. Edike Pharmacy Dine. Oyer Fateman Boga Junction. Ashaman Valco Flat. Kumasi. Ahinema Kokobin. Asafu Buachi Hospital Junction. Takradi. Number 9 Market.
Tell mom and dad about the Makers Blessing Attack program.
From 0552 222 253 and 0552 222 254. Terms and conditions apply.
The same got to move.
Right, welcome back to the show. If you just joined us, this is Good Morning Ghana Live on Metro TV. And it's time to have a conversation with the Minerals Commission on the extractive industry here in Ghana. Last week, we started looking at the big five areas where we're speaking about domestic financing. We also referred to local content and local participation. There's the issue of value addition, exploration and mining, and then small-scale mining. Last week we spent time on domestic financing. We'll wrap up on that, and then we'll move to the number 2 on the list, which is local content and local participation. Mr. Martin, I say good morning and welcome.
How are you?
By the grace of God, I'm doing well. You look and sound quite excited this morning. Speaking to you before I sign on, looks like you're happy.
Yes, because the report I'm getting on the ground from Blackwater is exciting.
It's exciting?
Yes, the security is doing a great job.
Yeah. The water is clearing now?
You didn't get to the Pran Cobra situation.
Yeah.
So they've cleared them on the water. They now patrol. Then there is this part in the Bono area where they work on the land and wash into it. So those are the areas that are being tackled now. They move the thing into the bush, and then out to it, and then they come back. That's what they do. But I think...
So you're sure we can sustain this?
Oh, yes. It's just sustenance, Randy. Let me tell you something. Now the military is there, patrolling on the Blackwater. It's kind of a dense jungle surrounding. They are there now. They flush them out, demobilize, and clear all those structures. If they leave, maximum 1 month, they will come back. Okay. They will come back. So for the community, they will say, these people will get tired. Oh, they will leave. But as I said, a lot of them were foreigners, and many of them came from Togo. So that is it.
Let me ask your view on this. And this will just be, I don't know if the commission has a position on it, but you have raised this issue a few times, that the ability to sustain the presence of the military in many of the areas has been a bane, because when the military presence is there, we are able to restore things to normalcy. The people are on the lookout. Once they see that the military is left, then they come back. Now, there is this viewpoint that, look, in view of what this thing is doing to us, and it's like an existential threat to us.
It is.
We should look at perhaps, if it is either the military or it is the police or whatever, we need to look at perhaps recruiting a lot more people and permanently, having what you might want to call a standing force for against illegal mining, and placing them permanently and providing the logistics, because maybe per the size of the military today, we cannot afford to have that level of permanence at all the areas at the same time. But in view of what this, how the threat that this poses to us, maybe as a nation we should look at perhaps recruiting a lot more people and having a permanent standing force at all those places, if that is what will help us, if it's even for another 5 years.
Randy, when you say force,
yes,
it changes the architecture of the whole thing. The word force.
Maybe the military. Maybe the military recruiting more
when we
people.
say force, you're talking about the military, police.
Yes.
Those are specialized institutions
Yes.
created as per the Constitution.
Yes.
So we have to be careful about our language. Yes, I think something like that has been done, conceived, properly thought out. We call them river wardens. River wardens.
Okay.
Okay. They are not force.
But outside the military.
It has nothing to do with the military.
Okay. What I'm suggesting is like the military, because they are the forefront. Like you're speaking of Black Volta, it's a military exercise.
Yes.
But I'm saying that I'm told that to have permanent military personnel at all these areas could be a serious drain on the military. So there's a view that looking at how this thing, the threat of this whole thing, as far as our existence is concerned, maybe the military can be given the this thing of maybe adding 5,000 more men or 3,000 more men so that they'll be able to now deploy personnel permanently at these places, if it's even going to take us 5 years.
Give that money to geological survey.
You give the money to geological survey?
To do geological investigation.
Okay. How would that change it? How would that solve the issue?
You see, when we say permanent, yes, when we say permanent presence, like in the past, when they go and clear them, okay, we get to know after 2-3 months that they are back. Okay, so the strategy now is that the frequency which when the security apparatus go back there is what is the matter. So permanent does not mean 24/7.
Yes.
For the water body, that one, you know, they have about 15 boats. How much does it cost for? I mean, they just move around. So it's like their normal Navy job that they are being called to do.
Right.
I mean, 15 boats, 10 Navy people, a few gadgets here and there, moving on the water body. It's fine. That's their normal job. But I'm saying that, so they are moving on the Black Volta. Now, the other areas are joining the water body where they work on land. At most, maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks, the military will have to go back based on record to see whether they've come back. So you take your excavator there, it is taken, they destroy everything. In the past, maybe it's only after 6-7 months when we hear that they are back, that's when they go. But within 2-3 weeks, they go and do a recce again. And then they say, oh, they go again. So I have this, my officer in Asankagwa, who tells me that some area which used to be endemic, the miners, you know, Galamsey in that area has gone down. Why? Because of the frequency which the security people go there.
Okay.
You understand? So you go there, you flash them, they think you come back in 3-4 months. Or perhaps 6 months as usual. So within 10 days or so, they take them by surprise. So with that, they don't come back again. That's when they move elsewhere.
Okay.
So permanency does not mean 24 hours.
Stationed, yeah.
For the patrol, yes, they are on the water body because that is dear to all of us. Even the dam has some patrols, so that is different.
Okay.
But it's not as if they are there 24 hours. No.
Okay.
But they go back now frequently.
And it's working.
So, oh yes, that's working because you see, when they clear an area, they have a way by which they gather intelligence. So as you start moving slowly, okay, slowly, by the time you start and organize your champagne and then organize your infrastructure, they come back.
Okay.
So the report we now have is that strategy is working very well.
Okay.
Very, very, very well. Okay. Especially in some of these new areas that some of them are moving to. It's like these armed robbers. When they are feeling the heat in a particular area because of the resurgence of armed robbery and the security agencies step up patrol.
They lie low or relocate.
The other, if you like, retreat, relax for a while. And when they are getting hungry, they move elsewhere, hoping that maybe things will stabilize, and then they strike again. Right. So it's better that way. So it's not as if you have to deploy the entire military 24/7 because they also have their core mandate. I don't think. I would rather say give us that money for us to do geological investigation because it costs, to deploy men and logistics and all those things.
Okay, once you think that this strategy will work, that's fine.
That's okay.
Right.
But why is the media not going there to go and find out the situation?
Going where?
Because they brought the thing to the attention of the general public, which is fine. But by now, the same people who went there to go and take those
pictures, Black Volta.
Oh yeah, should also be reporting and say, oh yeah, things have improved. Well, it's not peculiar to Ghana, but everywhere in the world, people like negative things. I'm not saying that is wrong, because then it is something that alarmed the entire country because of the dam and then the last thing standing, the Volta River. So it's been dealt with. Yes, and insofar as people have decided that for them, no matter what you do, they will have to go and do that kind of thing. Then we don't.
I'm sure you've seen the picture of the Forestry Commission staff who's been shot.
Yes. Yes.
People are getting very brazen.
Yes, that is what I'm talking about. You see, that is it. Okay? When I saw that thing, I said, oh, wow, it could be my district officers. But that's a Forestry Commission officer who was going down for maybe a patrol. You know?
So it means that they were doing it in the forest reserve?
That is it.
Oh. Anyway, okay. So last week we were speaking about financing, and today I want us to touch on local content.
Okay.
And local participation.
All right. So Randy, thank you again, and good morning to our viewers. You know, I said that for us, or for me, these 5 key areas, if we design our policies and programs properly, some of them are in place. So as I explained, I'll touch on them.
Right.
Then we can get mining to uplift, what do we call it, this nation, to rival what we see in perhaps South Africa and some other countries. So I keep saying that as much as possible, these billions we keep mentioning.
Let me stop you for a minute.
Yes.
Okay. I have a text from a statesman, a senior citizen. I'm sure that we all know him. The Honorable Dana Budakwe.
Yes.
Says, watching you right now, what about clothing our local chiefs down to the level of Udikros and unit committees with authority to fight this menace and holding them accountable? Have we thought of that? So what about clothing our local chiefs down to the level of Udikros and unit committees with authority to fight this menace and holding them accountable?
The system already exists. We have the district mining, so Honorable Dana Budakwe, if he's hearing me, we have the district mining committees.
Right.
Which is headed by the DCE. So the Minerals Commission Inspector is there, the EPA is there, the police commander is there, the chiefs are all there.
Okay.
Yes, and we found that they meet regularly.
Okay.
Some areas they are working very well, and they've been able to hold. So the framework for that already exists in the law.
All right.
That is it. So that's my answer. So let him know that it exists. But as I keep saying, and the Asari Chrome one, I didn't want to talk about it, but Randy, it will be difficult for me to say that the local authorities don't know about the Asari Chrome one. The one that showed up in the graphic front page, was it 2-3 days ago?
Yesterday.
Yeah, or the chief. It's very difficult for you to say that he's not aware.
Yeah, that's where they said they've dug up the deity.
Everything, and that's how brazen they are. Okay, it's not an easy thing. Yes.
All right, so let's go on.
So as I said, for me, insofar as the billions continue to come from outside, then you are not going to do that, because you see, the question you have to ask yourself is that what if they pull out? So look at Niger. Cool. Almost all those billion mines there for uranium, they are all investments from France. Okay, so $1.5 billion, $500 million Kaduna, 250 Azuma, and all these billions being used for redevelopment. Why can't you raise the money here? 2 things are very important. You will need to educate the people or the public to know that, look, this is where to put your money. And also have a deliberate provision in your laws to ensure that people keep their monies here. They raise some of the money here. Because, you know something? The $1 billion for the Half North project is going to come from Newmont Mining Corporation. Newmont in US. Whether they are going to raise money on the stock exchange because they're in the stock exchange there, or they are going to give a loan to Newmont Ghana, and then at an interest of double digits, and that kind of thing. It's worrying. So for us, one of the things we need to do is that we will need to push very hard on the local thing. There are a lot of pension funds and hedge funds that have a lot of billions lying down. Maybe this is the time to go in there, okay? The fundamental difference between us and South Africa is that many of them own the mines. So we will need to work hard on that. So that is it. And I'm happy it has started. I mean, some of the mining companies are now raising some of the money locally. The billions will not be able to get off, but at least you need to start from somewhere. Now, Randy, local content is also another area that we will need to take seriously, which we are doing. Why am I saying so? Let me repeat this. The mining companies procure all kinds of services and goods daily for their operations. So we have a law that governs this particular space. We call it the local content and local participation. You know, take note of the wording. Local content and local participation. Okay, LI 2431. It was just passed in 2020. And then prior to that, it was a section within the what do we call it, the licensing regulations and that kind of thing. So, what does the law say? The law says that every year, Minerals Commission, every year, generates a list for goods and services that the mining companies must procure. So normally what we do is that based on the report we get from the mining operations, we are able to tell they spend so much on these items or on these services. Then we sit down and look at the capacity, because you see in the report they also tell us who they buy from. Do you understand? So I can tell you offhand that maybe there are about 10 Ghanaian companies doing this, or 5 of them or 15 of them. And then we will have to look at whether or not we have the capacity, particularly where it's a big ticket item, that is, they spend so much money on it. So last year, we generated a list of 41. Now, you normally see 3 things on the list. 1, there are areas that are totally preserved for Ghanaians. In other words, it is not possible for a foreign company or any company, whether owned by Ghanaian, partial, or like the Newmont and Goldfields, to procure that particular service or buy that particular good, from any other person other than a Ghanaian company or entity. So we have those on the list. I'll mention a few. Then we have areas where it's open. So foreigners can come and set up here and also take part in it. We normally allow that if there's no capacity. And then there are some areas that are reserved solely for those who live around the community. The areas we are quite careful in being a bit draconian is the area of manufacturing. The various inputs and things they use. We need to be sure that 1, we have people who can do them here. 2, Randy, you don't go out there and then ask people to come and set up, manufacturing like let's say B5 plus, or is it on a pram? Yeah. That's a lot of money, millions of dollars. And then they produce all kinds of items, fabrication and all those things they use at the mines. And then they also do other things for the other mining companies. So they set up a plant to manufacture all products, $100 million. You can't get up and say that this particular product, give it to a Ghanaian. So what happens to that 100 million plus manufacturing facility? So manufacturing, we are quite careful. The drive rather is let them come here and set it up rather than import. But if you want to import, then it has to go to a Ghanaian. Okay? So I'm happy B5 plus can be here. You can manufacture all those equipment and then the companies will buy from you. Other than that, why go and bring it from Egypt? Okay? Where you need to go and bring it from outside, give it to a Ghanaian. So these are the 3 categories. And some areas too, I think it's a national disgrace just to allow certain things. Unfortunately, it was happening for a very long while. We have now stopped it. Again, let me repeat, my favorite is selling of fuel to the mining companies. You see, at the mining company, when they give contractors to those who have the petrol stations, okay, they have to set up on site. Okay, yes, they have to set up on site and all those things. And until 2018, you have almost all the foreign companies that were doing it. So we changed the rule in 2019, which says that you cannot allow any company that is not 100% owned by Ghanaian citizens to supply fuel to the mine. Other than that, let me repeat, I made this comment last week. Randy, any foreign company that comes here, anytime they want a particular good or service to be provided to their local entity, they look for companies that come from their jurisdiction. Okay? So if a French company should come here, for instance, and let's say we happen to find uranium, or they want to go into any other area and what we call invest in the mining sector, the transfers of their funds from France, most likely, because there is Société Générale here, they will send it to Société Générale. It will not go to Ghana Commercial Bank. It won't go to CBG, NIB, or Agricultural Development Bank. So you will need to have a deliberate policy to say that those monies that come from outside to finance some of your operations, let them go. We are not taking their money. Let them go to the local banks. So effective this year, and we've been very, draconian about it. It was 20%. So we said all their financial transactions, at least 60% of the money should go to banks that are 100% owned by Ghanaian citizens. If you don't do that, they will continually use EcoBank, APSA, StanChart. Now the South Africans use Stanbic. We have Stanbic here. It's a South African bank. So Anglo Gold Ashanti, Goldfields, they'll use Stanbic, because that is a South African bank that has been established in Ghana here. I'm not being nationalistic, or I'm not driving. They will do the same thing. So instead of your $100 million or your millions of dollars that come in all the time when you sell the good or you transfer money to finance your project, okay, instead of bringing some through Stanbic, we are saying at least 60% take it to ADB. I'm not the one to tell you take it to ADB or CGB or Commercial Bank. I have gotten the list from Bank of Ghana. We wrote to Bank of Ghana, give us the Ghanaian banks. They gave us a list of 9. We've given it to the Chamber of Mines and the mining companies, that these are the banks that Bank of Ghana says they can do business lawfully, or as lawyers say, they are in good standing. We did the same thing. Minerals Commission wrote to the National Insurance Commission. They gave us all the companies that are in good standing, that are owned by citizens of Ghana. We've passed the information to the mining company. So what it simply means is that when we are reviewing the 2022 report, because this came last year it was 20%, this year is 60%, so we've jumped it up. So next year, by the end of January, they have to file a report. Every mining company will have to file a report to the Minerals Commission. In 2022, I sold gold this amount of money, or I sold manganese or bauxite this amount of money, and I returned maybe $100 million to Ghana. So we have to ask, how much of that was used for insurance? And did you meet the 60% threshold minimum? The same thing for the finances. That's the kind of, we have to do that deliberate. Other than that, Randy, if you don't do that, Newmont, they will not take their money to Agricultural Development Bank. They won't do it. Okay? They won't do it. Goldfields, they won't go there. They will put their money in Stanbic, Ghana. You understand? So these are some of the new policies and programs to ensure that mining benefits this country. Let me repeat. You don't own the $1 billion mine. The money that comes to can also go through banks that are owned by Ghanaians. Okay? So Stanbic, maybe the other 40% you can take it there. But the 60% that you, look, Goldfields and Agyapa are going to do a JV. Okay? If government should okay it, they are going to spend over $5 billion. If you fold your arms and don't do anything, all the money will come to Stanbic. Stanbic, South Africa, where Goldfields and go have their money, they'll put it there. And then, yes, and then they'll bring it here. So what is Ghana Commercial Bank doing? What is it? They also need those monies to also loan to people and then improve their capitalization, and then the money will circulate. They will do it there. I mean, there are areas in US, in Canada and other countries, where if a foreigner, they will not allow you to go into that space. So why can't we do the same thing here? So 1957, independence, right? How old are we?
66.
8? 66. Randy, let me ask you this question. You do you normally ask the questions, but I'll ask you, what is extraordinary about selling fuel to the mine?
Nothing.
That after 66 years, you should allow, let's say, Total to be selling fuel at the mines in Ghana here.
Doesn't make sense.
And our 2021 report says the mining companies, not all of them, the big 13 or so leases, spend $304 million. 2021. That time we brought the rule in 2018. And within 2 years, the thing has jumped from $100 million to 304. If you add lubricants, you're talking about $400 million. Will the money go outside?
No.
All those Ghanaians who are supplying fuel, will the money go outside? It will stay here. But Total, after paying their taxes and doing all those things, Vivo, engine, they will repatriate their profits. Okay, these are the things that impact, and he's not going to repatriate cedis, he will repatriate dollars. Okay, he will take it to Société Générale, they will take it to Société Générale France. The money is gone. But this time to stay here. Catering services. Okay, those are in category B. Security. Until we put that on the list, the South African company set up here. Okay, and they were providing security at the mines. So when I was entering Metro here, you have a security guy here.
Yes.
Yeah, you know, that kind of thing. So if it is 100 or 50 people that are supposed to guard the various, posts or the various areas at the mine, you want a foreigner to come and do that? What does it take to provide security? He's not holding gun. If he needs extra security, Ghana Army or police, depending on the circumstances, can provide those at the mine. But to hire somebody to be at various vantage points, you want a foreigner could do that, there should be something wrong. So thankfully we stop all that. So security, catering services, even haulage. For now, manganese hauls the ore to the port for export. Okay? Until we put a smelter in place. That contract will have to go to Ghanaians. They are the ones doing the same thing for bauxite. And medical services. Just to go through the list. So medical services, catering, security. Even there are some 2 areas that we introduced. Drilling and contract mining. Now, drilling is everything as far as exploration is concerned. I mean, you really need to drill and then get the resource out. You do it in 2 ways. You either do it open pit or surface or underground. So we are saying that when it comes to drilling services, we cannot give the contract to a foreign company. Many of them were from Australia. So surface operations, reserved for Ghanaians. And there are a lot of Ghanaian drilling companies. I mean, these are persons who used to work in the mines as geologists and mine engineers. A little money they got, they set up a small company, and then they started getting 1 or 2 contracts. They become very big. Underground, a certain percentage is reserved for Ghanaians, about 40. But I've seen 3-4 companies who are Ghanaians, and they are getting contracts. So you go to Obuasi, there's a Ghanaian company who is doing drilling services for underground. Obuasi is doing the same thing for Chirano. So it's a matter of time. If I get over 4 or 5, I don't want monopoly. 1 and 2 is not good enough. We will say now drilling services, whether surface or underground, now it's for Ghanaians. For all these years, all these decades, Australians were doing it. Okay? They'll bring the Australians here and come and do it. And then contract mining. What is contract mining? Basically, there are 2 ways in which you undertake your operations. You either do it yourself. If you like owner mine, you own the mine, you do it yourself. Or you give it out. And the example I use is that you can hire people, put them on the payroll of Metro. Okay? And that they will clean here. So it comes in the morning, close like the normal 5. Or you give it out to a company to bring in people to come and clean the morning. A few stay around if some places are dirty. And then they go back or they come down. They are not full-time employees. You pay the contractor. So contract mining essentially involves they drill, blast, load, and haul to the mill. Okay? There's so much money involved. 2-3 years ago, our report is about $1 billion. You're talking about 50 items on a list. 1 item alone is equivalent to all the receipts paid to government of Ghana.
Contract mining.
Yes.
$1 billion.
Yes. Okay. All the receipts government takes in terms of corporate tax, whatever 10% dividend you receive if they declare profits, royalties, withholding taxes, all those things put together. If you get the data from GRA, because we get that for planning purposes to design our policies and programs. Okay, my last check is roughly about $1 billion. And that same amount, just one out of the 50 items, is spent by the mining companies to drill, blast, load, and haul. Essentially, that is what it is. But of course, it's expensive because you need a lot of machines and all those things. So, Randy, you can't sit down here and you don't own a Hafo mine, you don't own Takwa mine, you don't own Cardinal mine, and then you also want to allow companies to come from Australia, Canada, South Africa to come and drill, blast, load, and haul. There should be something, something must be wrong. Fortunately, I can show and demonstrate about 15 or more Ghanaian companies. Rather, listen carefully. I have in my database properly registered with the Minerals Commission, because you can't do any job at the mine if you're not registered by the Minerals Commission. In fact, you can't, if you're not a staff at a mine, you're not from EPA, you're not from Geological Survey, you're not from Minerals Commission, you can't enter any mine in Ghana. The persons that are allowed to enter a mine in Ghana outside the employees who are working there, and we have the list: Minerals Commission inspectors, EPA, Geological Survey. We have unfettered access because we are regulators. Unfettered access. Any other public institution, you have to come to us to allow you. Because what did we see? They will send us a notification that some people are coming in to come and visit the mine. And then a 3-day, 4 visit just to check on 1 or 2 things. The person is there 6 months working. That's what they were doing in the past. So the Ghanaians started alerting us, the Ghanaians who work there, or sometimes when we go on inspection, we check. Then we introduce that rule that even if you want to visit Ghana, the MD of Newmont's, worldwide, if he wants to visit Ghana today and he wants to go to the mine, unless maybe he's going to hold a meeting at the head office here and go back. But if he wants to go to Newmont, Achin and Co., he has to send a notification to Minerals Commission like 2 weeks advance notice. His documentation, everything, what he's coming to do and all those things, before we permit him to come in. When he's coming, when he's leaving, what he's going to do, who he will report to. That is a rule now. We instituted that because under the guise of people coming from corporate office to come and just see what is going on, they end up working. So you go there, an American geologist is working 3, 4, 6 months. We can give 6 months visa. We don't give. Okay? And then he can renew. So he can be working on a visitor visa without knowing. Fortunately, we stopped that, and the fine is quite heavy. So these are some of the things that we are doing. So about $3 billion annually, spent by the mining companies on goods and services. At least your policies and programs, and that include this procurement list that was introduced, must be designed in such a way that you make sure Ghanaians do it. And we are doing very well. Randy, we are doing very well. 2002 April, young lawyer then, maybe perhaps the only company that was around there, maybe engineers and planners. And they started small, if you like, wheelbarrow, or the way some of these billionaires start from their garage and they become billionaires overnight. Now we can boast of 15 or so, and the figures are growing. Okay? So Cardinal, Azuma, and all these new mines, they are giving contracts to Ghanaians. We have the expertise. Let me tell you something. Yesterday, I chanced upon a story. The MD of Newmont Mining Corporation in Peru is a Ghanaian. And then there's one, Mr. Charles Bisu, not a politician, who has been working in US, Newmont, US. They have brought him here as a general manager at Chim. So we are doing very well. Now we've moved from 41 to 50. Now, in terms of skills, let me repeat this. Skills, Ghana, world class. I'm not talking about Africa. Any mining company that comes to Africa, if they are looking for skills, Ghana is the first place they rate. So, where you have the numbers is Australia. lot of Ghanaian mining engineers. If you go to DRC, they are there. Practically every West African country, they are there. They are every country in Africa, the 34 or so where mining takes place. You have a lot of Ghanaians there. There are Ghanaians working in Canada, they are in US and co. I've just mentioned these two. Now, Randy, by law, all non-technical roles, we don't allow expatriate. All non-technical roles. So you cannot have, like some years ago, where you have an expatriate being external affairs manager. So all non-technical roles, HR, all those things now totally preserved for Ghanaians. For the technical roles, general manager down, also preserved for Ghanaians. So you cannot have an expatriate as a mine manager. You cannot have, an expatriate as a general manager. And Randy, increasingly, practically almost all the CEOs now are Ghanaians. So my favorite, Iduapim, the CEO is Ghanaian. Gold Coast is run by a Ghanaian. If you go to Obuasi, the MD is Ghanaian. Okay? The general manager for Achim Ghanaian, the one for Ahafo Ghanaian. So Ghanaians are all over the place. Fortunately, we have developed a database which the companies can access. I'll be meeting all the Ghanaian professionals in Australia in about 2 weeks or so to discuss. And so when they run the adverts, we circulate within that space and people can actually apply for them. Let me tell you an interesting story. There's a Ghanaian mining engineer who is working with a lithium mining company in Australia for about 5-6 years now. I was looking for him, so I got in touch with him. Only for Atlantic Lithium to tell me yesterday that they are hiring him.
Oh.
Yes. So the guy is going to relocate to Ghana. But we already had him in our database. Okay? He's a mining engineer, 6 years, working in a lithium mining company. So these are the kind of things we are talking about. So the other day you're asking me whether we are ready, we have the space. They are all there. Okay? I've just gotten about 10 Ghanaian, engineers who are working with various lithium mining companies. Because Australia, as we speak, produces at least 50% of the world's lithium. Okay? So a lot of Ghanaians are working there, mining engineers. Again, you've heard companies, industry and co complaining about the quality of our graduates, that they have to spend a lot of money to retrain them, not in mining.
Because,
before I even explain, products from the Ghanaian University studying the various mining programs and geosciences, perhaps are the only sector, let somebody challenge me in any other sector, perhaps they are the only categories of graduates that if they leave the university, they are employable. Because of the 2020 law.
Which is what?
The local content law, which says that every mining company in Ghana today, you are bound to pick the mining and mining related, programs, students, and then they come and work in the mine. So you go to UMAT, our premier university. Those who are studying mining engineering, mineral engineering, metallurgical, chemical, geological, all these people. At the end of the first year, that long vac, is it 3 months? You have to take them. So Nemo have to tell me, I'm taking 20, maybe 3 mechanical, 3
like an industrial attachment.
Asanko, yes. Proper and well organized. They come to the mine and are trained. They go back. Second year, the same thing. We check, they send the reports with the names and the courses. So maybe Randy Abbey, mechanical engineer, first year, UMAT, or mechanical engineer, first year, KNUST. He stayed here for 3 months. We check all those things. You don't have it in any sector. Second year, he goes back. Third year, he will go. Fourth year, he will go. So roughly, he has got more or less like 9 months of experience. So by the time somebody will come out of Newmont or KNUST with a BSc in mining engineering, he's employable. The basic skills, what is blasting, mine rescue, those basic things, they've learned it. Some years back, you just go to the university, only 1 or 2 will be picky if you are lucky and you know somebody. Now it's mandatory. And then, if you are fortunate, you see certain things for the first time when you leave the university and go to the mine. It is no more. Then after that, you take them for national service. So the national service postings that are coming out in a month or so, or 2, a lot of them that have engineering backgrounds, particularly mining, geoscience and all those things, they all be taken. Even if it is 5 each, the mining companies are many. Okay? You're talking about maybe 50 to 100 of them. Most of them do service there. And then after that, they have what they call graduate training program. So here's your son who has finished mining engineering, 9 months of experience at UMAT, okay, or mechanical engineer. Then national service. So that gives him effectively 2 years. Then he undergoes, so maybe if the national service Newmont has 20, and now they are going to take more because of Hafunov. That's what they told me. They are preparing them from a Hafunov, which will be ready in 2 years. Then 20 national service, then he will take maybe 10 because they are watching them, those who are very good. They will do the 2-year graduate training program. So 2 years, service 1 year, and then when you are in school. So that's roughly about 4 years. Then maybe they will hire about 5. The others will go to the other mining companies like Cardinal. Mincom will also take some. 2019, when we were expanding, I took about 10 from the graduate training program. Very brilliant. They are already exposed to the mining, so he has 3-4 years experience. You put him under a senior inspector, okay, in our regional office. Give him 2-3 years, he's good to go. Some also go to Australia because normally when gold prices are high like that, a lot of companies do hiring. So you see them 2-3 years experience, they leave for Australia. They come back anyway, like this young man I'm talking about who has spent 6 years at a lithium mine in Australia. If the company are not taking him, who were going to hire him to put him in our inspectorate division? So Randy, these are the kind of things that are going on, and let me say that it's been very dramatic in the last, if you like, 5 years. It started about, if you like, 10 years ago, but we have to put them in the law now. Because you see, when it is not in the law, it is difficult to push the companies around. So the 2020 law, which was passed maybe barely 3 years ago, so the law was passed in 2020 December, they will give them 1 year moratorium that all these people must leave. So 2 years ago, we told Eduapin, the man who was a CEO must leave. We gave him 1 year. And then they headhunted a Ghanaian. He's one of the smartest mining engineers you can find on planet Earth. So that is the quality of skills we have. Did I tell you of a story? I don't know whether I said it here or another station. All the CEOs and top professionals were invited for a discussion at a meeting some time ago this year, with the vice president. Randy, Anglo Gold, Goldfields, Golden Star, everybody was invited. We went to the room. Of course, I was also invited as a CEO and then regulator. We went to the room. I did not see a single expatriate. That day, I was just wiping my face. So I think one of the MDs was asking me, are you having some eye problem? I was reminiscing 2002, 2003, where even my captain, superintendent, and co. Because you see, these people are certified. You start with blasting, mine rescue, foreman, mine captain, before you become mine manager. You call such meeting, you only find 2 or 3 Africans. At best, maybe mine superintendent or mine captain. Everybody was an expatriate. You go to the clubhouse, expatriate. Now it's no more. So they were coming in droves. So one senior government officer was asking me, are we ready? I said, why is he asking me? Oh, we are waiting. He thought that we're going to see expatriates as MDs working. I said, no, these are the people who make the decisions. That is it. And then they walk in, we had a decision. Not a single person was an expatriate in that room. So that's how far we have come. This year we are going to revise the list again. Come October, we'll meet the Chamber of Mines, go through with them, and say we have either, and we are going to do 3 things: put new items on the list, increase the percentage of the quota for Ghanaians, because we've seen more companies, or for some things make it now 100% Ghanaians,
Right.
because we now have about 4 or 5 companies, and they dare not preach to us capacity, because I'm here to get a report from Goldfields Ghana, the Goldfields Takwa or Aboso or Cardinal, or any of the mining companies to tell me. I'm here to get that report that nobody is doing well in contract mining, in fuel supply, etc. Catering, it is a very delicate thing, because when the miners complain about their food, because you see they are on site, bush there, so you have to bring breakfast, you have to come and each land, dinner, everything. Sometimes everything is taken underground. A whole lot of things happening. So a small complaint by the miners that the food doesn't taste good or whatever, they will fire you. So the standards are very high. And now Ghanaians are beginning, there are Ghanaian companies that are beginning to manufacture inputs. So for example, Tropical Cable, they manufacture cables that are used by the mining companies. If I get 2, 3 or 4 and nobody has complained, that means I can say that don't import any cable because we have companies that can do it. Nobody has come to complain to me that they have problem with the Tropical cables. Okay? That's a Ghanaian company, somebody who has worked very hard over the years and even export. So people didn't know about this. That's why I'm always ranking your program A1, that of Asempa, because we go there to NGTV. People didn't know. The impression people had was that mining company, they've come, they go into the bush there and create economy. They just employ a few people and then they dig a stuff. They don't even add value. Then they take the items out. If they like, they say we have 10%. And then they don't even declare profits for us to get a dividends and that kind of thing. That is the impression the average Ghanaian has about mining until we started this education. That today, you are talking about $3 billion being spent by them every year on goods and services, as against a third of that being paid to the exchequer. Okay? That there are so many jobs in the mine that you cannot bring an expatriate to come and do it. So, if you either advertise or go into the database or take it to Australia. Okay? I said in 2 weeks' time, I'm meeting all the Ghanaian professionals in Australia in mining. We have arranged that already. They will come and talk to me. They will bring their CV. I'll update the database. So when you tell me that I want to go and bring a plant metallurgist, an expatriate, I said I have about 20 in my database. Okay? So go and hire them. If you have an emergency situation, maybe I can allow you for like a month or 2 whilst you take time to hire the Ghanaian, because it takes time for them to relocate.
Right.
So the graduate training program and then this long vacation internship for the mining engineers. The very day Parliament passed that law, that was the best thing that ever happened to us. Because right now, Asanko cannot look into my face and say, I'm not going to take any graduate training. I'm not going to take any national service person. It is mandatory.
Right.
That is it.
Okay. So Martin, we'll leave you here today.
Yes. So having
continue.
covered local content and then the local financing, when we come, we'll discuss the other.
Yes, the other three.
The other 3.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
So that'll be it for our discussion. Up next, Metro Sports.
My son, there's more blessing in giving than receiving. When you fear for and couple the makers in
The pneumatological aberration of the Lord revealeth unto me this night that me and my household should go out into the world and bless the world.
Makers Electronics Company Limited. Up to 67% discount. Our selected appliances.
This is what I call quintessential immaculatability.
The Makers Electronics Company Limited. Taifa Burkina Highway. Amasa Zongo Junction, Edike Pharmacy Dining, Oyer Fateman, Boga Junction, Asham Paco Flat, Kumasi, Ahinema Kokobin, Asafu Bwachi Hospital Junction, Takradi, Kuma, number 9 market.
To and tell mom and dad about the Makers Blessing Attack program.
From 0552 222 253 and 0552 222 254. Terms and conditions apply. The same